Okay.
Do it.
Big red button.
The big red
And
button
I'm going
also. 40.
Timed up hit.
No, 45 if you're still going.
My shit isn't my
45 is fine.
noise. My noise cancel.
Oh, okay.
Shit. Hold on.
50.
Okay. There.
55.
It's hanging.
50,
it's hanging.
50,
Okay.
55.
55.
All right.
All right.
Ooh.
You know what the fucked up thing was? My
What?
noise removal wasn't even on.
Oh,
Nice.
brutal. Owned. I'm not owned.
Oh,
I'm not owned.
Owned indeed. All right.
As I turn into a corn cob.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I'm just gonna quickly look to see if any news happened overnight. I really doubt it.
I don't think so.
Let's just look at the past 24 hours.
I mean, there was technically that Bungie thing from yesterday.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I did see that.
There was a big, really good reporting from Beck Valentine.
Yeah, on IGN.
It's a little less.
Bungie, yeah.
It's Pete Parsons' statement was pretty good, actually. So, you know, it seems like an instance where the reporting was good and the company maybe will not be complete fucks about it like Blizzard, Activision.
Yeah.
But hard to say. So, you know, that's about all I have to say about it. So I could just say that again in an hour.
Yeah. It is a good article. I started it. I didn't finish it.
It'll be
it's
incredible
long. It's very dense.
If Activision fucking Bobby Kotick unionizes the game industry because of his hubris.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, emails like that Blizzard email work really, really well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't. They're able to counter program, but people really eat up the like. So wait, the union means that I don't have any rights anymore, and the union controls my rights.
Hopefully, being in a. Yeah,
I'm not trying to say that people that are stupid.
Yeah, no,
if you're not aware of labor politics and unions and stuff like that, it's which you know I get why a lot of people are not. It's very easy to be lied to basically by your employer, and they can get around the NRLA because they don't. The way they word it is so careful to not actually be a technical lie.
Yep,
just an implied one.
Yep, but fucking. Biden came out and condemned Kellogg's. It's like, you guys are fucking union busting. This is bullshit. You're trying to replace your workers. So maybe we'll get Joe Biden calling Kotick a piece of shit.
Oh, one can hope. There's a new Terminator game that is coming out today.
What?
Hell yeah.
And
those games are always good.
Apparently it's pretty good. Yeah.
Terminator games always good. I don't know how it's possible. Don't ask me how, but
yeah. Terminator Resistance Annihilation. Apparently Terminator Resistance also came out previously and it was actually pretty good too.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good single player shooter campaign. I'm going to play it at some point cuz
5 out of 10 from IGN.
Yeah.
On Terminator Resistance.
Yeah, but I think the
audience rating on Google 4.4.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say community response is very positive.
Yeah, I can't believe that this is where we are in 2021, but I actually trust user reviews on places like Steam with caveats, of course, because bombing happens. That's a whole different. But generally, I take the temperature with user reviews more than with. You have to read some of them. You can't just look at the number to understand what's up. But
this is DLC
for Resistance.
Oh, okay, it's not a full game then. Got it.
Still though, it's cool. That game seems pretty cool, and it's cool that they're supporting it.
Well, if we're going by taking a pulse off of Steam reviews, you should check out Opus Echo Star Song's Steam page.
At some point, it's like 99% positive, I think.
Yeah, 97% of overall time.
Sometimes those situations, not that I'm taking anything away from that particular game. Sometimes you get in weird situations where a game is so niche that it's only going to attract people that are going to like it, kind of. And so then it gives it inflated review scores. Whereas if you put it in the hands of a wider range, like I think this, and again, I'm not shitting. This happens with Sims too, but there's fewer of them on Steam. Happens with like visual novels, where I think like typically people reviewing visual novels on Steam are doing it within the context of other visual novels, which is a totally fair and reasonable way to review them. But it can sometimes lead to instances where if you are not a visual novel person and you look at a Steam page, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is like overwhelmed. This has a better rating than Half-Life. And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of things that go into that. And there's a lot of context for that.
It's true. All right.
But I want to play those Opus games at some point because they look damn good.
Hello, and welcome to episode 202 of the Gaming Fix podcast on December 11th, 2021. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka the Wet Gamer, aka your partner's favorite Keanu Reeves role. I'm joined today by Pat.
I'm not going to speak for my partner, but my favorite, that's rough.
That is.
Because it's easy to say John Wick, and it's easy to say Thomas Anderson. But I also really like Point Break a lot.
Sure.
But I'm gonna say John Wick in the streets, Thomas Anderson in the sheets. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Because if he's in the Matrix, then he knows every kind of like sexual pleasure inducing technique.
If I could download the Kama Sutra straight into his brain.
He said it's okay for people to mod Cyberpunk to sleep with him. All right.
Yeah. He was psyched.
He was psyched about it. He was ecstatic.
I'm allowed to make that joke.
Carrie-Anne Moss was not so excited, but
can't blame her. I wouldn't be.
No.
I do not want people to have sex with my digital avatar. Thank you.
That is, you were hearing the voice of one Alex.
Hi.
Favorite Keanu Reeves role.
I thought he was good in Dracula, the one with like Gary Oldman and stuff.
That's a good
is
movie.
That Bram Stoker's Dracula, right?
Yeah.
That's called? Yeah, I need to watch that.
That's a good movie. That's a good pick too.
And Johnny Mnemonic wasn't a great movie, but it was fun.
No, but he's good in it.
He's good in it.
Like,
so
he's got big like Nick Cage like shit's crazy energy in that movie.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But of course, like The Matrix is a classic. But yeah, I would go for something fun like that, like Dracula.
I think he's gotten better over time, but I guess is what happens when you do something over the course of a career. You get better at it.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Will Smith had been Neo, like I think was originally planned?
Yeah, would have been weird.
Very weird.
I mean, I don't hate Will Smith. He's fine.
No, but it'd be a very different thing. And
I enjoy the film The Wild Wild West, which is a horrendous movie, but I like it a lot.
I like the rap Wild Wild West. Personally, that
yippee-yay.
Yeah.
I like the Men in Black.
Yeah. I like the Men in Black too.
Yeah.
How is the new Men in Black? I never saw it.
I'm not gonna. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. There's two Men in Black movies as far as I'm concerned.
They're both fine. It's not like amazing.
Like, I saw Men in Black 3 at the theater. I remember that.
Wow.
It was not very good. I don't know. Don't look, listen. I know Hollywood execs, you're all listening.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to keep making them. Just make a different movie. Imagine, like, I understand that the urge to sell Ghostbusters figures is strong, but what if you can't? There's so many people out there that want to make something different, and you can sell figures of that too. This is,
But Pat,
kids don't give a shit if it's a Ghostbusters figure or if it's a
don't worry, because
cool alien. I don't know.
Paramount is going to be mining Wattpad or Wattpad. What I don't know.
I don't know what the word
stories. Like Paramount partnered with Wattpad, which I guess is where people post a lot of like fan fiction, not Archive of Our Own, but like it's a fan fiction kind of repository. And they're apparently going to be searching for stories using that, and that's just like.
And what, contacting the people who wrote them to pay them for them?
I don't know.
Or just stealing them.
Like, you know,
I would have to imagine they're just going to steal them.
There's one that was like, I think someone posted their own fan fiction, like from Wattpad, and was like trapped on an island with Josh Hutcherson.
Yes,
and they
that
were like,
is Jenny
Paramount,
Nicholson.
Contact me.
That was Jenny Nicholson. She has a classic video all about recounting that particular story from Wattpad. She also has a video about One Direction during The Purge, which is also from Wattpad. Both videos are very worth watching.
You know, just we don't need to do Harry Potter again. Just fucking put My Immortal on the big screen. Like that's what we really need.
The cat was meowing, and I thought maybe he needed to get into the bathroom.
That is quite all right. Now, what they're gonna do is The Men in Black, starring Finn Wolfhard and Gaten, whatever his name is from Stranger Things.
Oh, God. I don't.
The littlest Men in Black, and they'll be
and David Harbour will be there in some capacity.
I understand that they're like different studios, but it's amazing to me that nothing happened to glom together Men in Black and Ghostbusters. I think they're different studios. I don't care enough to look it up right now off the top of my head.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
That seems like the pairing that they would have smashed together in like a cartoon or something at some point.
Let me smash, indeed.
Like it seems like both of those should have like shown up on a Scooby-Doo crossover or something.
And maybe they have. I don't know. The Ghostbusters definitely have. I think. I don't want to speak too confidently about that. There's a lot of weird. I mean, John Cena's been in Scooby-Doo. There's a lot of weird Scooby-Doo stuff that has happened in the last like 15 years.
Ghostbusters, well, actually Men in Black, they both had cartoons also. So
exactly, that's what I mean. Seems like the kind of thing you would cross over. Anyway,
if you can't tell, we don't have
Men in Black video game.
They did. They've done that.
Yeah, well, make a good one. Make an open world one where you have to go around and find all the aliens, and you have to do like it's like Batman Arkham City, where you have like an inspector vision, and you have to find clues and figure out like, oh, what kind of alien could this be? And then when you find them, they reveal themselves, and you got to fight them or chase them or whatever.
Or make it a hidden object game on mobile where it has ads that are
probably
like, are you smart enough to beat this guy in the ad? And the person in the ad is clearly doing the worst job humanly possible to infuriate you to download the game.
And it's like you're fighting a Balchinian, but the person on the ad is poking everywhere except the balls on the chin. Yeah.
That's very fun. Now, I played a lot of video games this week.
Okay, well,
nerd.
Yeah. Fucking, what a dork.
Hell yeah.
Everyone point and laugh at Pat.
Yeah, don't worry, everyone does that to me either way.
You played
what video games?
You played something I want to play at least.
I played. This is kind of in reverse order of the order I want to discuss them in, but
I've not even looked at the doc, so this is all surprising to me.
So the first thing I have listed here is the Mercedes-AMG F1 W12 E Performance, which is the 2021
performance enhancing bed
hybrid engine. This is the 2021 Formula One car, perhaps you've heard of it, which released in iRacing this week. I will talk about this very briefly because people have, but like I just want to put it, this is one of those like, it's not as fun as an EVE Online war story, but this is like one of those things where if you're not playing iRacing, you don't. No, it's a good thing.
No, like, it's just I wasn't expecting the comparison to EVE Online immediately. That's funny.
No, it's not like I'm not comparing iRacing to EVE Online, but what I'm saying is it's one of those stories where this is really fucking cool, and you would never know about it because nobody gives a shit and nobody's talking about it except for the people who are into iRacing, who are all talking about it and won't stop because it's the coolest thing ever. So for people who don't know, Formula One is like the premier racing series in the world. Some people don't like it. Whatever. They're weird. It's really, really cool. It's super fast cars. It's on kind of arguably the best 20 drivers in the world race the Formula One cars. Obviously, there's enormous amount of money that goes into getting them there, so who can say for sure? But really neat. There is a series of Codemasters video games called the F1 20 at 20 whatever 20X series, which EA now owns. So it's now like a EA Sports thing, which is weird, but whatever. They're good games, but they're not hyper realistic. They're kind of like Need for Speed Shift in their level of like, hey, this is, you know, you can play them with a wheel and they're fun and they'll get you most of the way there, but they're not necessarily the pinnacle of realism in racing games. So iRacing, which kind of is, it's not, there's still lots of stuff about real world racing that iRacing doesn't 100% model, but the point and goal of iRacing is to get as close to reality as possible. We kind of never thought they would ever have modern Formula One cars in it because, you know, Codemasters has that license. But it turns out last year during COVID lockdown, when they weren't racing in real life, the Mercedes Formula One team, like their engineers and a lot of their pit crew and stuff, got way into iRacing and managed to make it happen to bring the Mercedes, which is the best car on the grid, arguably, the Mercedes Formula One car to iRacing, including next year's car as well. So after next year's season, we will get the 2022 car, which is a big deal because the regulations change completely next year, so the cars will look very different and perform very differently. So this year is more iterative.
So does that mean that iRacing, the devs, are pretty closely in contact with whoever the regulating body of F1 is for this kind of licensing?
Because they did not license Formula One. They only licensed the car. So they reference the fact Mercedes. That it is, yes, it's with Mercedes. So they reference the fact that it is, because the interesting thing about Formula One is Formula cars are not spec cars. There are a set of guidelines for them to adhere to when they construct the cars. But the difference with something like NASCAR or IndyCar is those cars are all the same. In NASCAR, they put different body kits on them to represent the different manufacturers because they pay money for that. But they're the same under the hood. And the same is true of IndyCar. All the teams drive the same car. They can make changes to them, like changes to the suspension, changes to the gear ratios, changes, you know, the sort of changes you could make on your own car, but they're not adding and exchanging different parts within the car. Everyone has the same parts. Formula One is very different in that there's a set of guidelines for how they build the car, but they can, as long as they're within those guidelines, the cars are actually very different. They have different engines in them. They have different aero packages. They have different brake. Like Mercedes is famous because they have a thing in iRacing. They just call it brake magic, but it's like a very complicated button that changes the brake balance and makes it easier specifically for Lewis Hamilton to drive. Correct me if anyone's listening. Don't get mad at me. Some of my friends listen to this. Like this, it's I don't even know exactly how brake magic works, but in iRacing, it's just a brake magic button. Yeah. Nobody else has brake magic in Formula One. Okay. So anyway, I won't talk about it too much longer, but it's extremely cool. The car is incredibly fun to drive. We drove it for like 6 hours, my friends and I, the other night. It is absolutely wild that they put it in iRacing. And the craziest thing about it is it really drives home how much Formula One cars, the most difficult thing about them is the physical forces they put on your body, because the car is actually extraordinarily easy to drive. And obviously it's not quite 1-to-1. No sim is like as accurate as commercial sims that the teams use for real training. But, you know, it's as close as you can get in a consumer grade sim, and it's one of the easier open wheel cars to drive in iRacing. But in real life, it is extraordinarily difficult because of the way that the G-forces it exerts on your body and the physical weight of the controls, which you can't quite recreate in a sim. So that part's pretty cool and very fun. The thing that makes it the most fun is, in real life, those cars have a significant amount of aero wash, so the air coming off of the cars makes it really hard to follow closely because it unsettles the car behind and slows them down. iRacing doesn't model aero wash on this car as significantly as it exists in real life, which means that it's more fun to race. So it's a little less realistic, but it also makes it more fun to race, which is really cool, and actually makes the series. They're doing a full series with it, including, they're not calling it because they don't have the F1 license, but they're doing a full series with it with full length races at all of the real F1 tracks that they have in iRacing as they race at them in real life next year, which should be really cool. So it will be fun. So that is the iRacing check-in. I promise there won't be another one for like 3 months at least, because they do this stuff in between seasons. Reset the clock. The next thing that I checked out kind of quickly, I played some Century Age of Ashes, which is a dragon dogfighting game. I don't know if I can't remember if I talked about this.
We talked about it when the alpha preview ever hit.
Full release finally hit. I didn't check it out the day it dropped because I saw some kind of mixed things about server stability, so I waited a little bit and then finally checked it out. Still a really cool game. If you want to do some dogfighting, the kind of arcadey, almost Rogue Squadron-y or something dogfighting, I'd definitely recommend it. It's free to play. It has really has like good free to play hooks. I think it's all cosmetic, which is sort of the trend now, but it doesn't seem FOMO-y. There's like no battle pass or anything. It's just like you get XP, and then you can get in-game currency, which you can use to buy some cosmetics, and then some cosmetics cost real money. But it's pretty fair. It doesn't feel like icky or anything. It doesn't even feel as I don't want to say exploitative, but it doesn't feel as much of a grind as like Halo or even Battlefield. It's pretty breezy, so it feels like I like it because it means I can play it like for an hour or two a week and get a little bit of progress without feeling like that FOMO thing. So that's kind of nice.
We talked about that game quite a bit on episode 163.
Yeah, and you can go back and listen to it there. It's pretty much the same game, but it is. They have one cool mode that I think really puts it over the top for me, which is there's this new mode that I didn't play in the beta where each side is trying to collect gold, trying to hoard gold because you're dragons. And there's like creeps that fly around, and you kill them for their gold and then take it back to your base. But if an enemy kills you, they take your gold that you're carrying. And then there's a mechanic where like a key will show up and it locks both gold repositories, and you have to pick up the key to unlock yours. But if you get killed with the key, then the enemy takes the key and then they can put it in theirs. So it's really fun. It's a pretty dynamic mode that's actually fairly complex, which is cool. The only negative I have to say about that game is it's
dragons don't fuck.
Well, I don't know. You get eggs. I got egg.
You can slam them into each other real good. So.
The fucking's implied because there's a whole mechanic around. They're just cosmetic. The different kinds of dragons don't change anything. There's different classes that play differently, but the dragons are cosmetic. But you have like an egg hatching system where you like drop an egg in, and it like goes like, okay, you need to play 5 games, and then the dragon hatches
or something.
Yeah, and then it's like defeat 30 opponents, and then it gets a little bit older, and you can like watch it grow up. It's cute and fun.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that game since playing the alpha or whatever it was. I remember
it's weird. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The only problem I had with it was like parts of it just felt almost too arcadey. It was like you didn't quite have as much control as you wanted most of the time, especially in terms of like projectiles, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that bothered you then, it's pretty much the same game now. It's a little more I think they tightened up the balance a little bit, kind of, but it's still pretty hard game. I find it's like I definitely have games where there's people smoking me, and I'm like, Jesus, how are they? I can't even fire off one fireball. But like it, and I think they're gonna maybe sell characters, like classes, in the future. That might be the one gameplay thing. But it launched with 3 classes, and there's none to buy right now, so they don't seem to be going too hard on that. But I would recommend checking it out. It's free, so go give it a look if you like flying games at all. I think it's a mouse and keyboard game personally, but yeah, if you like dragons too. And I think it has skill-based matchmaking, so even if you have a rough few games, you can kind of get into your kind of level of play, because my games got better as I played a little bit, and I don't think that I got much better. So it's worth checking out, even if it don't be scared off by my saying that there are people who are good at it playing it. I also downloaded that Godfall Challenger Edition, which is extremely weird. I'll say that game seems kind of cool, and I might get it while it's on sale because it seems like a fine pickup for like $25.
It's on PS Plus.
No, it's not. The Challenger Edition is on PS Plus.
I mean, isn't the Challenger Edition is just like the post game, like the end game?
Well,
isn't it?
Yes, but it doesn't
include the story, but
it doesn't include it's also limited time. It's only available until the beginning of January.
Wait, what?
Yes, it is not a. It is a trial, basically.
Wait, I thought.
Nope.
Wait, they're putting a.
Yes, people are pissed.
This isn't. Wait.
The PlayStation 5 game for December is on PS Plus is a trial. Basically, they insist. There's literally a news story where the whatever they're called, Challenger, whatever Counterplay Games insists that Godfall Challenger Edition is not a trial, but it's 100% a trial. You can play it until like January 6th. You can play it on Epic until like December 20 something, and then it's done.
That's a
this is even worse than I thought. What the fuck?
It's weird. The thing it does is, I mean, that game's fairly fun. It's not like I would have felt pretty shitty if I had bought it for $80 or whatever it was when it might have been 60.
Yeah, but reviews on the site.
Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff that seemed bad about it from the review. It's not really present in the end game. The end game seems pretty fun and interesting, and I'm kind of into it because it doesn't. Again, it's another game that does not have dailies or weeklies. It just has like, you just play it when you want to play it, and you progress when you play it, or you don't play it for a month, and it's fine. Your stuff's all the same way it was when you left it. So I have a friend that's interested in it. I'll probably pick it up on Epic on sale because I kind of like it. But yeah, it's Challenger Edition's a weird fucking thing. Because what's weird about the Challenger Edition too is they don't give you all of the Valor plates, the different like classes, of which there are 12. You only get 2. I think maybe you can craft the other ones if you play enough of the end game, but like, I don't want to play the end game trial shit. I want to play the game. Like, I want to get to end game for real and play it if I'm going to play it. And for all I know, if you buy it, you might get the ability to just play the end game right away. But like, when you launch it, it says like Godfall, and there's a big lock over it, and then it says Godfall Challenger Edition, and you can click on that, and it's lets you do. And I played it on PlayStation 2 for what it's worth. So this is all from the PlayStation version. And maybe the Challenger Edition is sticking around on PS Plus, and you're going to be able to play it whenever. But
like, if they released a thing that was not going to be like, that's shitty, and that's a bad use of the system. And
no, I'm not arguing. Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah,
I don't know how Counterplay talked Sony into that one.
It's a very creative grift,
it will be sold, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's on PS Plus forever because they're going to sell it for $15, the Challenger Edition, which I guess then you could just have it forever. It's a very weird way to release a game. That's for damn sure. But the way that I definitely saw marketing in like the trailer or something that said like play for free December 7th to January 6th or something like that.
That might just be the like
the window
when it's on. Yeah,
that could totally be true. If so, they're messaging it very poorly.
But the 7th is Friday, not
December 7th was when the Challenger Edition dropped.
But I'm. Oh wait, until when is the end date?
I don't remember. I don't know. I pulled that out of my ass. I have no idea.
Because like, if it's till like December or January 4th, or like probably not the 11th. They'll update before then, I assume. Maybe they'll wait till the 11th because like it's Tuesdays is when it updates, right? So yeah, if it's like till January 11th, maybe. But that's wild. Okay, well. No idea.
Yeah, maybe you can claim it on Epic also until then too. But it's a weird thing. Like if it's, I just don't know what I'm still not totally clear on. So should you just not play the non-Challenger edition at all? And if so, this thing is kind of like, it does sort of drop you in. There's some sterilization. I don't know. It's weird. The game itself seems pretty fun. The combat is not great, but it's a decent, like, I don't know. It scratches as much of the same itch for me as something like Diablo, that I'm like, we'll just fuck around with it for an evening over some beers and with friends. So try it if you got PS Plus or the Epic Game Store. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's available forever. I don't know. I mean, the way it was messaged,
they are going to sell it for $15, so I'd hope.
Yeah, the way they message it makes it seem very much like it's a limited time thing.
Unless they're treating it like, the Mario collection with its limited availability. Because definitely those two are on equal footing, Mario and Godfall.
It's got trophies, I guess.
Yeah, like I said,
Mario doesn't
really
have trophies.
Weird.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because this looks like it's going to be around now. The stuff I'm looking at, so I don't know.
So it doesn't have the expansions or the story content.
So okay, so is this aimed at brand new players? Like, is it?
Yes.
Like it's specifically
people,
not people who have finished it already.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's exactly who it's aimed at. It's very strange. I mean, I think it sounds like the reasoning is that the story is boring and not very good, and so
that's
why play it? Yes, this seems to be them acknowledging that the story content sucks. You also cannot matchmake within the story. You can play with a friend directly, but it led a bunch of people to think that the game doesn't have matchmaking, which is one of the reasons why I think it didn't have any legs, because people were like, what, I can't co-op with anyone but my friends? In the end game, you can matchmake. So once it actually gets hard, you can matchmake with random people. So
it doesn't have any legs. That's why the god falls. I understand now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Their legs just straight out from under them. But I don't know. The art's cool. It has some cool enemies. There's one boss that I played in the Challenger Edition. It's pretty fun. It definitely you play it in like the tutorial, and then you go back and play it again, and because you play the tutorial that you get in the base game. And then you go back to it at end game, and it's like, oh wow, this is actually a lot different fighting it at end game than it was in the tutorial, which is kind of fun. So I don't know, it's worth checking it out.
It's worth $0 that you paid for it.
100%, yes. I might even pay $25 to get the full game on Epic to play with a friend, even though the story's bad, because maybe it's bad in a fun way. I don't know.
Like Diablo,
whom among us can say?
Like,
the Diablo story is fucking trash.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's great to play with friends.
Diablo 2 has a kind of cool story, but
like
Diablo 3 story is gibberish.
Yeah, like if you're just going to sit there and play the game with a friend, just like talking and not really paying attention to the words, but just blasting fools, that's a great experience.
This is exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for from this game, and I think for some people they're going to go, but this sucks, and I love Diablo, but I don't really like Diablo that much, so this is kind of a good substitute.
I'm down with like the armor they're doing, like the plates and stuff. I think that stuff's cool, but hearing about some of like the mechanics and like the different, it sounded like, I think from Austin Walker talking about it, that like different like fire and ice, or like the different abilities or different like damage types basically made no difference in like what was happening, at least in the story. And then also when you'd fight bosses, if you got like killed for whatever reason and then went back to the boss room, they just had like
both of those things, I think, are different at endgame. I can tell you for sure the boss thing is different at endgame.
Okay.
Because the way that it's dumb that they have to do it this way, but basically at least in the mode that I played. There's one mode that there's 3 different end game things you can do. One of them is like a tower that you're climbing, and it's roguelike. You die and you go back to the beginning. And that, of course, you know, your run's done when you die. And then there's one where you like do like they're like dreams where you play back through levels basically of the story, but with modifiers, and they can make them totally different. It's basically just reusing the geometry, which is what all these games do. And in that one, when you encounter a boss, it like closes the dream. So you either have to kill the boss to win, or you die and you're done. You have to start it over. So the end game stuff does not have the same issues. I don't know about the elemental stuff. I would assume that is also more relevant in the end game, because it does seem like there are additional complexities to the way that enemies work at end game, but I can't say that for a certainty. I just know that it's relatively fun to play. It's hack and slash. It's like your light and heavy attacks. They do the thing that some games do that make me laugh, where it's like the weapons have combos, but all of their every weapon's combo is hit the light attack 3 times, then hit the heavy attack. So it's like, are we really doing? You don't need to. You go to the training area and it shows you like the weapon combos up, and it's like, you didn't really need to put that on the screen. They all work the same. They're different. They feel different. They have different abilities, so they're not the same, but they're the way you use the buttons you press are the same. But anyway, it's kind of cool. People might enjoy if you like those kinds of loot games, and the loot is kind of cool too. There's a lot of you have like. The thing I was worried about with that game is, since the Valor plates are your armor, like what's the point of loot? But they have like several different slots that they make up. They don't appear cosmetic at all, but they like make up different stat boosts. So you can do some.
I got some rings
builds.
I got a cup for my junk. I
wish, but. No, it's like 2 rings, a life gem, an amulet, and then something else. A banner, I think is what it's called. So yeah, that's kind of cool. The thing I also played, I guess this is also kind of a quick hit because I only played 1 level, but I was finally, since it's coming out in 1.0, I finally just pulled the trigger on GTFO. I've been wanting to play that game like for like well over a year now, but my friends always like won't do it because the way the marketing on that game sucks so bad. And it's like, do you like to get fucked by your games? Do you like your games to treat you like shit? And the answer in my case is yes, I do. But for most people who are sane, they see that and go, no, I'm not playing this. And so it kind of, my friends were like, this game looks like it's way too hard, which I can't blame them. But turns out it's not. It's fine. It's not that bad. You have to think about it. It's like playing Left 4 Dead on like hard difficulty. And I only did the first level, and they get harder as you go. So I'm sure the later game levels are really tough. But you can get into this game without it blowing you away. But it is. It's. I think it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it a lot. It is. If you haven't seen it, the concept is you are a prisoner in like a sci-fi world where they just like tell you, hey, if you can complete these objectives, then maybe we'll let you out early. And then they just plunge you into the depths of these horrendous facilities that are full of horrific creatures, and then tell you figure it out. And the game kind of tells you that too. Like when you launch it, it says like, click and hold to inject on a big screen, and then you do that, and then it just shows, and then it says like connect to the rundown, and you click that button, and then it's just a map. And then there's a options menu for changing your settings, but like there's no tutorial, there's no this is how things work. They link to a YouTube video that explains the concept of rundowns, which is the big thing that makes me interested in this game, which is where every arbitrary set of time that the developers set, the whole game gets like trashed, and they put a new set of levels in. And that's like the game is like, imagine if all that Destiny was doing raids, but then the raids every 2 weeks, they were like, all right, this raid's not available anymore. You're done. Here's a new one. And that was the whole game. That's kind of what GTFO is. It's not as complex as Destiny raids. Like, it doesn't have as much puzzle solve. Well, it has a lot of puzzles and stuff, but there's more shared content from rundown to rundown than there is in Destiny raids. But it's really cool. The gameplay is a lot of sneaking because there's scary monsters all over the place. You got to bop them with hammers and spears and stuff to kill them. But when it gets hot, and the guns are very cool. They feel very fun to shoot, and it gets very hectic, and you can get killed very easily and overwhelmed while you're trying to like complete objectives and pick through the facility. You have to do things like go to terminals. Like at first it was like, you got to go to zone 80 in the objective in the upper left and get the antimatter wave projector. Man. And so
love the antimatter wave projector.
Exactly. Yeah. You find the door that says go to zone, that it has like a, you can go to zone 80 through here basically. And you try to open it and it's like, sorry, you need the key. And then you got to go find a terminal and type into the terminal query space key _orange _45. And then it goes pinging, querying, and then it goes key _orange _45 is in zone 77. And then you got to find the door to zone 77. That's fun. And you got to pick through, and it's.
But every time you say the terminal, I just think Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones are in it.
They'd be right at home.
But that does seem kind of
of course, yeah.
And then you have to, like, once you find the area, like you'll find the zone that the key you want is in. One player has to go to the terminal and ping the key, type like ping space key _orange _45, and
that's interesting.
Then the key will emit a noise, and the other player has to go find it and stuff. And I think there's a lot of different things. I think they reuse each of these little objectives, but there's a lot of different ones to do. In the first level, there's really just that one. And then you do things like, well, now we're going to go open a door. And then it's like, hey, this door has a security alarm on it, which means that the things are going to fucking come because they're, well, not in that way. The things are going to fucking arrive, the monsters. And the monsters are pretty unsettling, and so you have to set your turrets up and be ready to defend while you hold the point, and it clears out the alarm and the gun, and that's when you get to kind of go loud and shoot stuff, and it's pretty fun. And there's a lot of moments where like at one point my friend who I was playing with, who I really enjoy playing stuff with, there was a hallway and there was like there's like 4 guys, and generally you want to handle them with stealth, but when you get close to them, they do sort of pop off, and they can do a lot of damage really fast. So I was like, I don't know what we should do here, because there's 4 in the hallway. We don't know how many are in the room. If we try to take them out all in melee, the other ones are going to wake up while we're killing the first 2. And we're kind of staring at it, and then he was like, so anyway, I started blasting and just opened up and lit them up. And it worked out fine. But I was like, oh God, we don't even know what's around the corner. So it's very fun, because I think
it sounds more engaging than like a Left 4 Dead, and especially with the objectives.
It is for me. Yeah, there's definitely like loud, quiet, loud dynamics to it too, where you're going from lots of shooting to lots of sneaking to sequences where there's not even really enemies around. You're just kind of scrounging around for stuff. Like there isn't really a progression system in the game. There's no like level or battle pass or anything. Maybe they'll add battle passes eventually, I don't know. It has some cosmetics that you can unlock through just playing it and completing levels. There's a little checklist on how you get the cosmetics, but it's kind of confusing to me because a lot of the UI is intentionally obtuse in a way that I think works for what they're trying to do. But there's these these boosters you can get, which are like modifiers for your character, and they're consumable, and you can get them. If you explore enough, you'll find artifacts in the environment, and for each one you pick up, it increases the odds that you'll get a booster of that type. There's 3 different types at the end, so there's a little bit of like reasons to explore the space and stuff. And then ammo also is very tight, so, and health too, so there's a lot of reasons to want to try to find ammo and health. So I like that dynamic. I think people who really love Left 4 Dead might get a little turned off because it's not constant shooting. You're not just like running and shooting all the time like you do in those games. There are long sequences. The levels are long, and there are long sequences where you are like crawling around, not fighting and doing like, sneaking and avoiding and stuff.
Like, how long would a round be? Like, typically I would say in Left 4 Dead to do a complete chapter or whatever probably takes, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, this is like an hour minimum, I think, for each like level. I think they get up to being around like 2 to 2.5 hours. When you get to the higher difficulties, they did add 2 things that they did add that I think this is the game changer that makes it work for me. One, they added bots. So they say up front the bots are not smart enough to make the game soloable. You do need at least another player. You can play it solo with 3 bots if you want to, but it's very hard because the bots are not that good. Because to keep them from fucking up and alerting enemies, they tend to like just stay away from them and let you deal with them until it gets loud. So it's kind of like, it's hard because there's situations where you want 2 people to line up and like kill 2 enemies stealth kill at once so that neither one wakes the other one up, kind of thing. And the bots just don't do that. But they totally make it playable with 2 people. My friend and I mean, the higher difficulty levels, maybe not, the lower in the complex missions. But my friend and I didn't have any it wasn't very hard at all. We died a couple times, one time because we didn't know what was going to happen and shit popped off, and the other time because of a bug. But the bug was really easily remedied once we knew what it was. Basically, an AI got stuck in a wall, and we needed all 4 of us on a point to get it to activate. And all I had to do was, and then we died because I didn't know what was going on. But then all I had to do was kick the bot and then open the slot back up to bots, and then it rejoined a bot right next to us. But they did that, and then they also introduced checkpoints. So for a long time, the game was like, if you die, you're done. You have to start the whole level over, which would be very frustrating in this game because of the ways in which it is very slow. It's interesting when you're seeing a level for the first time, but I wouldn't call each level super replayable because it's not fun to ping the key when you already know where it is, and it's just kind of a chore to get there. So the checkpoints, I think, help a lot. So with that stuff in mind, I think it's much more playable for more people. There's also some story stuff too that I can't really say much about because it's delivered via audio log, but not in the shitty like everyone stop way. This audio log was like, we just kept going and it was playing in the background. It was interesting. And the world is like super fucked up and grimdark, which I like a lot. And it has interesting stuff. And I don't want to even say the other narrative thing that happens because I think it's more fun if you just experience it. But there was a moment where we were like, whoa, what the fuck? And it was only like a very minor thing, but I'm very curious to see what this game has in it in that way. It may be that it never actually materializes into anything coherent, but
or you have to play like multiple like seasons of rundowns or whatever they call them. But
yeah, who knows? This one, they don't have the time limit on it up yet, so I don't know how long it's going to be available for. Yeah. But
I mean, usually it seems like they last a couple months.
Yeah, they claim in their little explainer video that sometimes they have shorter ones and sometimes they have longer ones. So I don't know. Weirdly, I don't have the FOMO issue with this game. Like, I don't feel like I have to do every rundown. It's more just like, hey, it's kind of cool that if I put it down for a couple months and come back, that there'll be a different set of levels to do. That's enough for me because the story is interesting, but it's all stuff you could get in by listening to. I'm sure that there will be people who compile that stuff if it actually is interesting. But I think bottom line for me, this game is very much like, what if you took like Left 4 Dead and Returnal and smashed them together, and what came out of it was something a little more hardcore and horror, although Returnal is really hard. So it's not as hard as, nothing in the level we played last night was as hard as stuff I've seen in Returnal yet, but it was also the first level out of 4 depths. So
I wonder if more games, let's say like a Back 4 Blood, or if Left 4 Dead had even done the same kind of thing, or like a Vermintide or whatever, if those games would have I wonder what the communities around those games would be like if they took a more like the GTFO model of, okay, we've got a couple levels here, you can play through those, and then we're gonna rotate them out, they're gone, here's a new set of levels to keep it fresh. Because like Left 4 Dead, you could play a lot, but then it was basically got to be basically the same every time, and like you were saying, you mostly just kind of shoot through those levels. There's a little bit of like, you know, oh, hold this objective, but if they like changed it up more often and it wasn't the exact same levels every time, I wonder if what that would have done for the communities around those games and the overall life.
While it's not the same game or type of game, I think that's what Apex does with their ranked modes, is for like a couple weeks or whatever, the ranked mode will only be on this map. And like,
so I think doesn't it change like hourly now? I think it changes, or maybe that's just
it's at least weeks.
Oh no, sure. maybe that's casual. Just the casual mode is like every like 45 minutes it changes or something.
I think that's but that stuff works. It's really cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, the community seems like it has highs and lows, because like if what's it called, King's Canyon comes up, everyone's like, oh fuck, well I guess I'm not playing ranked for the next few weeks because I hate that map. And then, you know, if one comes up that they love, then everybody's in again. So it seems like it can be good, but it can also be, it can, you know, it ebbs and flows.
You're always gonna have highs and lows.
I think from the thing that is most compelling to me about the whole rundown concept, because let's be honest, it's not like each time they do a new rundown, it's like a new game campaign. Like there's going to be they're going to use the same enemies, they're going to use similar objectives, they're going to use similar geometry with different layouts for the levels. Sure.
Like, but even that can be refreshing.
And it's the thing that is compelling to me is, because I believe they've done this over early access. I've kind of barely paid attention to this game while it's been in early access, but because the aesthetic is like off the charts for me. It's like my favorite movie is Alien, so give me like fucked up industrial sci-fi is like it's like that, and dark FromSoft's fantasy art. It's like the two things that I can just look at forever.
Oh, what was
Miyazaki's Alien? There we go.
What was the Dark Souls like that was all sci-fi?
The Surge.
I should play that game because that game has art I really like a lot.
It's got some neat ideas.
I was gonna say that seems exactly what you were just describing. Anyways,
yeah. But the understanding that I have is that sometimes in a rundown, it's just like, and you know, this kind of happened with the story thing I don't really want to talk about. You're just playing it and it's like, yeah, this is another rundown, and then something happens and it's like, oh, we've not seen this before. Fuck, shit. Okay. So I think they do use rundowns to sometimes say like, oh, now there's a totally new thing nobody's ever seen before. And they do it a little bit more consistently than like, hey, here's a new expansion. It allows them to kind of like sneak in stuff that is not big enough to sell to you, but is significant.
Oh shit.
Which is kind of neat.
The Ghostbusters, what are you doing here?
And then also the weapons that are available rotate out. Another refreshing thing about this game for me, which is this is a thing I go back and forth about with my game tastes all the time, but you don't have to unlock guns. That you can just pick from all the guns are available from the start, and the guns again fucking rule. The shooting in this game is really good, and so it's fun to just be able to like look at the whole loadout menu and go like, oh, do I want a shotgun? Do I want a pistol? Do I want a revolver? Do I want a... And all of the guns feel like they have a good use since it's not PvP. Like I took an SMG and a shotgun. The SMG just fucking is it does not shoot very accurately at all, especially not if they're more than 10 feet away from you. And it makes it feel like, oh man, it would have been useful if I had an AR. But also when they do get up in your face, which happens a lot, it's a good spray weapon. And the shotgun, there's two different ones. Like there's a sort of medium range auto loading one that fires faster, and that one is rundown specific, so it's only going to be available during this rundown. And then there's one that isn't, that's more of a pump shotgun that's closer range, and the trade-offs feel like tangible and interesting between them. So that stuff, the weapon dynamics seem pretty good and feel like more than just different rates of fire. Like Back 4 Blood, to me, the guns just feel like they fire at different rates. That's kind of like, and then the shotgun shoots more bullets at once, but they don't feel like substantial to me, and they don't feel like they have weight and like good gun feel, I guess, which GTFO has. So anyway, yeah, it's like 25% off right now. I think maybe, I'm not sure if the price went up and then they put it on sale to put it back at the early access price.
That might be what they did. I think
that's what they did.
I do believe the plan was to raise the price.
Yeah. It was always, all along, they said it was going to go up when it hit 1.0, and they were clear. This wasn't like a shadow drop. They put out I guess like a thing a few weeks ago that was like, hey, last chance to get the game at early access price, 1.0 coming soon. But as like a 1.0 thing for the first 2 weeks, you can still get it for $30 instead of 40. And I think it is well worth $30. It is a enjoyable game. If you like co-op shooters, even if you don't like horror games, one of my friends was like, oh, I don't want to play that. It looks way too scary. It's definitely creepy. The enemies are really creepy and gross, but it's not really a there were no jump scares. There was one time when I turned around and there was an enemy there that I didn't expect, and I kind of went like, oh, but it wasn't a jump scare. There's not really any like out of nowhere something screams and is in your face at all. It's pretty fine.
I think the thing that's stopping me from playing it, like I would have jumped on a while ago, but there's no matchmaking for it.
There is no.
So there is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, because before it was like, oh no, this is like requires a lot of coordination, and so you gotta like you have to get your own crew together. Okay, if there's matchmaking now, and now I know you playing it, so if I can
bots and matchmaking,
maybe I can.
I'm gonna dip into the Discord this weekend. I haven't seen if the community is like real trash. I don't know if the matchmaking is, because I think you kind of need to voice chat. And I'm cool with voice chatting with strangers if they're not shitbags, but if they're gonna be assholes, I don't want to engage.
There's
but
also,
they might be cool.
I don't know. Matchmaking in games like this are also kind of a mixed bag, because like while Left 4 Dead did have like your AI coordinator that switched things up every time, I always encountered, if you match made with people who have played the same map like a billion times, that they're just going to run through it and they give you no chance to like kind of figure the stuff out. It's like you're being guided by the hand. So
and then if you don't know what to do and you mess something up, they're like, what the fuck? Why don't you know what to do?
What I will say is I think that the whole point of this game having the whole rundown concept is specifically to eliminate that. That's my understanding anyway, is there's no real reason to replay levels in this game that I can see. So I would assume, I'm sure there are plenty of people who beat the whole thing in 2 days and then they go back and play through it again because that's just the way that they are. But there's not really a reason to do that, because there's no like I said, there's no battle pass or anything. So I think largely the idea is when you're matchmaking with people, there's definitely going to be people that go like, oh, we need to find a key, so they maybe can go through the motions faster, but it doesn't have the same like laser focus on beginning to end play that a lot of that stuff has. Because I encounter that in Warframe whenever I do my Warframe dip in, my annual Warframe month of Fever Dream, where those Warframes maps are procedural they're not all procedural, but whatever.
It's chunks.
Whatever. You whenever you jump in, if you matchmake, there's people who just don't fight anything. They just sprint to the end of the level.
and you can fucking move through those levels.
You can go through the whole level in like a minute and a half if you just like sprint and know where you're going. So it's like kind of not fun to play with those people because they don't want to fight anything. They just want to go to the end of the level and get the completion rewards. So I totally feel that. But I think in GTFO, you can't really do that. The one thing I worry about is if people are like, there's friendly fire, and there's no way to turn it off. And so I would be nervous that I would shoot somebody and then they'd get really fucking mad. That's the one thing.
So Rainbow Six Siege, I see.
Yeah. I mean, no friendly fire doesn't bother, or friendly fire being on doesn't bother me. I think that's interesting. It's funny. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm gonna play more of it. And maybe dip into the Discord a bit and see if see what the vibe is in the community for playing with match-made people. But definitely seems like a game you would like if you like. The last thing I'll say, the way the level starts, I don't know if every level starts this way or just the first one in a rundown, but you're like, it says you're in this like pod that says hydrostasis, and your guy goes like, and and it says like hydrostasis like ended or so whatever, and then you're like pulled out of like there's like a big huge pit with all these pods around it, and you're pulled out of the pod, and then the front of it comes off, and then you can, and your guy's like really freaked the fuck out, and you can see like your 3 teammates around, and then it just like drops you like a carnival ride elevator, just hurtling through the darkness. It gave me a little bit of vertigo because it's like it's like how they hide the loading screen, but it's really effective because you're just like hurtling downwards, and you can tell that there's just like cave walls flying past you, and then you get down to the level, and it like uncurls the cage and lets everybody out. It's very effective. It sets the tone for what you're doing very well, where it's just like, yo, this shit is really fucked up, and you're gonna die. It's good. And
then you arrive in Zion, and there's a bunch of like tentacly robot monsters around.
You know, it does kind of have that, like, there's a little bit of that vibe for sure. Cool. Yeah. You could definitely make this a Matrix game with just, if you just change the gross zombie monster things, which are kind of like, I guess they're almost like Left 4 Dead clickers, kind of. If you change them into not Left 4 Dead, sorry, I meant Last of Us clickers.
Last of Us clickers. Okay.
Yeah, one of the 40,000 zombie games. If you change them to like Agent Smiths, then it could easily be a Matrix game. So think about that. It's not Starbreeze that makes that anymore, but.
And then you can fuck Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck anything that's in GTFO. Let's just be very clear about that.
Well, wait, are you implying that Keanu Reeves is in GTFO?
Maybe that'd be cool. Well, Keanu Reeves was in Payday, wasn't he?
Was he?
There was like a John Wick skin, huh?
Yeah, I think there
was a John Wick skin.
Yeah, and this is GTFO is made by ex Payday developers. So
yeah, there was. Hey. Yeah, you're right. I never saw that.
You never know.
I feel like we talked about that on the show, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think so. It happened in 2014.
I will say too, I've never been able to understand why people like Payday, and I like this game a lot. So if I know a couple of people who are like, oh, I don't really like Payday, and it's the same people, this game doesn't feel like Payday at all. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay. Well, you're selling me on it, and you've revealed some key information that makes me more likely to pick it up now, because I've looked at it on my wish list. I've had it on my wish list for like since it came out, basically, and it's been like, I just don't like living in Japan. I didn't have like, you know, the group, like the consistent, like, oh, I can get people together, because like even now, like being on like vacation, it's still like finding people that are free is a challenge. But if there's matchmaking and like you're playing it now, it's like, okay, maybe I can get some time in there. But yeah, I want to check it out because it seems neat.
Yeah, I think it's very cool.
Next up, Alex, you're still on you walk a lonely road, the only road that you have ever known.
It's not that lonely. There's a lot of people on that road, actually.
Dozens of us.
Yeah.
Dozens. Well, not us, because I'm not on it, but
dozens of people at least.
At least dozens of catbois.
Oh my god, there's so many catbois. It's
Catboy. Catboy.
Friend of the site, Amy, who you've seen on Twitter as Attack Power, probably. She has become absolutely ravenous about catbois over the past few months, and there are some
catbois are friends, not food.
Yeah, well, that's true, but she's ravenous about them in other ways. And like there's a significant catboy representation in this video game. So this video game, of course, being Final Fantasy XIV, which we've talked about.
Wait. Sorry, not catboy, bunny boys. There we go. That's
there's also bunny boys.
Boys, yeah, because those are new.
Yes, those are added, and people are quite pleased with how hot they are, because they're very tall and kind of femboy-y in a lot of ways, but also very masculine in other ways. So people are loving them. They're also
the only class that has a dong size slider, right? So
yeah, and it has jiggle physics, of course. But the
like Saints Row 3.
Yeah, exactly. The nice thing about bunny boys is that they also appear in the story, and there's a couple really great bunny boys, and they all have like Nordic accents. So like any bunny race you see, typically like one of the main bunnies in Endwalker, or sorry, in Shadowbringers, who Pat you would have encountered, is a very, very Icelandic actor, and she fucking rules. And
she's very cool.
Yeah, and there's a couple bunny boys I've encountered here who are, one sounds very Norwegian and another sounds Icelandic as well, which is great. But yes, this is the new Endwalker expansion, which I started, I think, last week. I think we talked about it. I was like an hour in. I was like in the first area. I have now completed the fourth area. I'm not sure how to define the metrics of where I am in the story. I'm like halfway through level 86 out of 90, and I know that beyond 90 it goes quite a bit, so probably around halfway. And damn, it's really good. Like the first week, it was hard to kind of gauge the reception because everybody was still kind of at the same place.
Everyone was still waiting in a queue to log in.
Thankfully, I've not encountered that issue playing on Japanese servers and typically playing at like their 3 a.m. But that has been an issue for a lot of people, yeah. And there's a couple ways around that. I can maybe post some links in the show notes or something if people listening are encountering that issue. When you're in the login screen, you can right click on your character and be like, log into a different world, and it'll automatically put you into a world that's less congested. It just means you won't be able to do certain things, like you can't sell things or buy things from a retainer and stuff like that you can do on your home world, but it'll at least get you to play the story.
Yeah.
But
it's like in League, when servers were down, you could put in the Konami code on your keyboard, and then it would be like, okay, you can log in.
Really?
I don't think it works anymore. Like it was
iRacing.
Not when the servers are down, but there'd be like there's a login queue, or like something's like making it so you can't log in. You can just put in the Konami code. And then
in iRacing, to prevent people from like hacking it to do this when their servers are down, they just let you test drive any car, even ones you don't own, and they make it into like a feature because otherwise, while the servers are down, people will just figure out how to do that anyway because all the firewalls are on your computer, and there's nothing for it to authenticate when you launch it. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, sadly, this isn't quite the workaround people are doing here, but that is very funny. But yeah, no. So the queues have been pretty intense, especially in the North American servers, I think, because just there's been a lot more people playing, and it's basically Final Fantasy is a victim of its own success in that sense. It really interestingly, actually. So these are all on production servers, obviously, and apparently the Square team, they actually turned on their staging servers, which is like what they use for testing, and routed a whole bunch of traffic to those also to try and alleviate it, which if you don't know like DevOps infrastructure, that is not trivial. Like that's a lot of work. So they're actually doing a lot to try and fix this. And like there's a message that Yoshi P had put out saying like, hey, we're sorry. We're going to give you guys at least 7 days extra of playtime, for lost time and stuff like that. And they've been very good about it, and the community has largely been pretty patient. Anyways, yeah. So last week I was only like a couple of quests into the first area, the first main parts of the story, and it was pretty slow. I would say the first 2 areas of Endwalker are very slow, kind of a Realm Reborn-y in that sense, and you're actually going back to some of those Realm Reborn topics and subjects and stuff like that. And then once you get to the 3rd area and the 4th area, it goes, and the story goes in some really crazy places really fast. Like it's really difficult to talk about without being spoilery. But one of the things that happens in the 4th area feels like it should be the end of the game, and it's not even halfway through. Like it's basically you're dealing with a concept that has been in place since A Realm Reborn, and you're putting an end to it, and you're like, wait, this feels like it should be the last dungeon of the entire game, but what? So it's going for it in some really interesting ways, and I would say at its highest points it's as good, if not better, than Shadowbringers. And you're
destroying the concept of the Praetorium. That's what you do, right?
Yeah, it's basically
remove the Praetorium from the game.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're queuing, your character in-game is queuing for an in-game Praetorium. And then they get into it and they're like, oh, fuck, well, here goes the next hour. So instead, you're breaking the computers in-game. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going into the server structure and deleting all the Praetorium files. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's basically Inscription, but Final Fantasy.
Doki Doki literature.
Spoilers.
Whatever.
I'm joking. It's not. Yes, no, I'm kidding. It's a joke.
It's been like a couple months.
It's a joke. It's also not really.
It's also not really a joke, but you don't know what it's spoiling. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this stuff, like, it's really difficult to talk about without getting into spoilers for pretty much everything Shadowbringers on, and stuff you haven't yet seen in Shadowbringers, Pat, because I know you kind of fell off, but
I'll get back to it. I'll play through it someday.
Yeah, like I really want to talk about it, but this is neither the time nor place. I will just say that people who have finished it are saying that if Shadowbringers was 10 out of 10, they're saying this is 11 out of 10 for them. And I can see why. I'm not quite there. I'm like, this is probably a 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know if it's 11 out of 10. But I will say, once you're around the halfway point, you really start understanding what they're going for and what the subjects they're tackling are. Like, you know, in previous ones, they've tackled things like refugees. They've tackled things like political corruption or religious corruption and stuff like that. And this one, like, again, no spoilers, but it appears to be going straight after mental health and depression in a really fascinating way. Like, not heavy-handed, not preachy, just like very, very realistic and very fascinating. And it's really good so far. So when we finish this podcast and it's posted, I'm probably going to take a break and then jump straight back into it, because
nice.
it's propelling. The story is propelling right along. Like, it's hot, fast pace and really, really, really good.
That's good. It feels, that was like my struggle with one of my struggles with Shadowbringers was like strong start, and then it was like, okay, and getting to know this world, it's interesting, and then things are really picking up, and then it was kind of like, okay, hold on, we know things picked up, but let's slow down for a while. And that was the point when I was like, but no, we were moving. And I kind of, it's good to know that the story just kind of goes in Endwalker. That's good.
Yeah, and in Shadowbringers, there's definitely points where it slows down, like especially when you get into the forest and stuff. Like, it slows down for probably about a couple hours, but then it picks straight back up, and yeah, it thrusts you into some pretty bonkers stuff. And yeah, I will say again, big props to Natsuko Ishikawa, the writer of both, because she is certainly cementing herself as just like a writer to be paying attention to for the foreseeable future, because the stuff she writes is really, really fantastic.
Absolutely. It seems like she is very successful with that game. I would have to imagine that that's going to be her thing for quite a while. Yeah.
And I mean, Yoshi P has been out there saying that he considers this his life work now. Like, he's not intending to leave the project ever. And I could see Ishikawa going the same way. If you've not seen the video from PAX with her, it's really, really worth watching. Where it was like basically her first panel in North America, and there was a solid minute straight of standing ovation for her. Like, and she was so overwhelmed. It's really, really endearing. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know how much more I can say about it other than that, because otherwise it's getting deep into spoiler territory. Which
how's Summoner treating you?
It's weird, I think, because they changed it quite a bit. And I previously
last week you still hadn't like figured out your rotations yet.
Yeah, I had still my hotbar was full of like crossed out things because you can no longer use certain abilities. So like, yeah, half of my hotbar was just like, what is this? Oh well. And I will say I've pretty much figured out the new rotations, and I have to say Summoner has gotten a lot more boring, which is unfortunate, because it used to be very engaging and like pretty complex. Like, you had but it was complex, but you had a lot of options. So like, if you had to do a lot of AoE, you could kind of change your rotation to do a lot more AoE, or if you had to really focus on a single target, you could change it a bit to do that kind of stuff. And now it's like there's only one path to follow, and you're following it every time. And it's just like there's no real diverging from it, and it's mechanically very easy. Like you can't really mess it up. So it's less engaging, I would say. New Summoner. I've seen some people say like now they would recommend that as people's first class to get into. Like if you're just starting the game, start with Summoner because now it's kind of super easy. And for me, it's like, well, that's kind of disappointing because I actually enjoyed how engaging it was before. So for all the hype it got before release, I would say it's kind of disappointing in that sense, but it's still fine.
Right. Well, speaking of hype and disappointing, let's move on to the news.
The hype and disappointing part is that you haven't played anything new.
Yeah.
I had some real hype games at Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, you messaged us being like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could have been recording this match.
I gotta say, before we move on to news, I hope that the Battlefield 2042 weeklies maintain the sort of thing that they did this time. I finished it in 2 nights. I played like a couple games with you 2 nights ago. Couple games, feel like 3-4 games with my other friends last night. It was really breezy, didn't feel frustrating. I was just like, this is fun. This is a fun way to get a cool, and the skin was good. Shotgun skin, good. And
I'm never going to use it, but it was all right. Yeah.
You know, now that the weekly asked me to use a shotgun, I'm like, hey, this shotgun's pretty fucking good. I'm actually going to use this more, I think. So good implementation of weeklies, way better than Halos, which while I fucking love Halo, it's like I had a fucking existential, it stressed me out more than any job ever when I was trying to get my killing sprees to get the fucking skin color shader that I wanted. So good on Battlefield for that, and I'm excited about the future of that game because the balance seems to be getting tighter and tighter as they put out hotfixes. They finally nailed the weapon accuracy for me now, where like I thought it was fine at launch, not perfect, and everybody else hated it, and then they made the ARs all lasers and I hated that, and now they're back to like kind of in the middle where they still shoot where you point them, but if you're shooting more than like 50 meters away, there's some accuracy fall off pretty quick. It's perfect. I think it's great. So yeah, Battlefield. I like it. Fuck the haters.
It's
man,
still very good. And
also the Santa versus Elves mode.
Yes,
it's gonna be very good.
So yeah, Father Winter is not going to be in the game, but apparently, Pat was telling me they're going to do a Santa versus Elves portal mode thing.
Maybe I got owned, and it's not real. But they're they folded and they're not putting the Santa skin in. But there's it's a GameSpot article, so that's why I don't think it's a joke. Yeah. There's a Santa versus Elves mode coming for the holidays for Portal, which is like a zombie mode where there's one Santa and a bunch of elves. And that seems very fun. And I'm excited about
it. Yeah, that'll be very good if that's the case. And I hope it is. And it'll make people even more mad.
Yes.
Stay mad, fucking losers.
Yep. With you.
Yep.
Alex, you really need to read Stormlight Archive. That's all I'm gonna say. I think it'll fall. Well, it falls right in your wheelhouse, especially like later books. Like the 4th book, I think will really do a lot for you in terms of kind of media, you like storylines and topics you tend to enjoy in your media. I think once you get to that 4th book, all the books are good, but
does
that one will be. Yeah, actually, he's on an Xbox in the 4th Stormlight book.
Do we have that? We don't have that in our news. It's not really news, but
it's not news. We're not putting an ad in here for Xbox.
But it is really funny that they made an Xbox, like a legit Xbox with Garfield on it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say how to get it.
I can't understand why this happened, but good for Jim Davis, I guess.
Yeah, for Paws Incorporated.
Yeah, Jim Davis famously, he's really just barely scraping by.
Yeah.
He's not like a fucking he's one really of the richest people alive under the radar.
He's really scratching to survive. Lasagna scraps for dinner every night.
Yeah. I really loved the thing that ended up not being true, the idea that you could not play Garfield on Mondays in that DLC. I wish that would have been true because that would have been really funny.
That would have been really good, but they're cowards. Yeah. So, let's see.
Anyways,
so yeah, speaking of disappointments, the Game Awards happened, and boy, I only caught like the last like 90 minutes or so, and that was just not a great show from what I saw.
Yeah, and I watched highlights. I didn't watch the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. I ended up throwing it on because some friends were talking about it, and like it was bad. It was as bad as it always is. It was a 90-minute ad.
It seemed
it had some cool reviews.
Wasn't it like 3 hours long or something?
I don't know.
I
didn't pay attention to how long it was.
But like the thing that from the bits I saw, it seemed like they just truly do not give any kind of shit about the actual awards anymore. It was like the kind of thing where they were like, we're gonna do like 5 at once, and we're not even gonna say the nominees. We're just gonna say, and now the winner for this category, silence. This is like 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, the only way that they did that for fucking best role-playing game. Best role-playing game was one of the ones where they were just like, and here are your winners for the following categories. Best soundtrack score. It's like, that's important.
Yep.
And like at the Oscars, they bundle like, it'll be like best like costume stitching or something, like an award that really matters to somebody, but like isn't, you know,
it isn't in the limelight.
Yeah, and you know, I get why sometimes they breeze through some of them, but best original score and best role-playing game,
yep,
those are like 2 of the biggest awards.
Well, and also they're like this year, maybe they've done it in previous years, but they had like an accessibility award, right? So it's like, oh, what game like pushed game accessibility forward and stuff.
From what I understand, that's
great.
That one had an actual like people on stage.
Yeah.
And
yes, it did. Yeah. But so they did that. At the same time, they're showing all these, and here are the nominees without like any sort of like admission, like you know, like, oh, maybe there are people who can't see it very well or can't read or you know, whatever it may be. And you know, not like, and our nominees, and here's the winner, and you know,
they didn't do anything to talk about, and I don't think they need to do this for every award, but if you're going to do that category, they didn't do anything to talk about why. And I know like you can't do that for like game, you can't read 4 reviews for game of the year or whatever, but for the accessibility
like
award,
30-second clip of
or
like
even a 10-second thing of like, just here's the, you know, Forza Horizon 5 for like representation of people with disabilities and for blah 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 blah. Like all you have to do is just say like 2 sentences of why the game is what it is, because that means something to somebody like who maybe doesn't understand. You got to understand that like people who are disabled or for whatever reason can't interface with a lot of games, they may not even be aware that Forza Horizon 5 has this stuff in it, because like, you know, maybe it never has in the past or whatever. And so like for that category in particular, arguably one of the most important, if not the most important categories from like a social good perspective, put like 10 seconds on each of those games to talk about why they're nominated.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
but they're really strapped for time at this thing. Yeah. You know, they really don't have time to mess around with that.
When they showed the clips for, because like again the accessibility one was shown on with like presenters and stuff, and it was given I don't know, a solid 3 minutes or whatever. Like less than a trailer. They showed clips from each game.
Those people off the stage, though. I think
they did pretty quickly, but like because they were like, we got to make time for all these reveals, man. But they did show in like their sizzle reel showing all the nominees. They're like, you know, 10 seconds of, oh, this game has a for deaf people, it has a sign language interpreter, and like for this one it's like, oh, here's some really intense colorblind mode options and stuff. Like it did show that stuff really briefly, but it didn't call it out explicitly in a way that was like, here's all the cool stuff it did. So
and even within like that, like
halfway,
I think as someone who's watched a lot of award shows, I tune a lot of that stuff out. Like I don't pay, the sizzle reel stuff doesn't really land because it's like just showing out of context stuff. And so I think it would have been really effective for that category if they had done a, like, even if like, if it were me, if I were planning that award show, what I would do is make it an ad for each of those games. Take 2 minutes for them to deliver a video package if they want to, and they probably would, about like, here's why accessibility in this game is special, and then do that award right before Game of the Year. Like, it's one of the last awards of the night, and over the course of the night you get a couple minutes about each game and why it has great accessibility options. And they do that for music, like they play music over the course of the night, although they didn't play the music that was I don't think they played the music that was nominated. I'm pretty sure it was just music around games and then a medley of like the scores or something, because Imagine Dragons performed the song from Arcane, which was sick because I like that song because I'm a weirdo who
like fucking they like played with Darren Korb, like a song from Bastion, right? Or
because
what did they do?
It was the 10-year anniversary of Supergiant.
It was,
or release of Bastion, I think
Bastion, yeah. But yeah, I don't know how that was. I couldn't parse what was going on there.
Yeah,
I know that they played Enemy, which I don't really like Imagine Dragons that much, but I like that song because I fucking love that show, and that song makes me think of that show. So now I'm into it.
Their performance was like I'm not an Imagine Dragons hater, but that was kind of a. But
no one's ever been good on the Game Award.
Yeah. Run the Jewels was okay, but yeah,
Run the Jewels is on a different level than Imagine Dragons.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah,
anyway,
I would say the awards. I don't think it's a hot take to say the awards part of it was overall meh. Like I think they picked an interesting Game of the Year. Like it's more interesting than if one of the others.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I know, like I've seen like friend of the show Jeff has had some opinions about that game that I've also seen echoed from other people around, like reviewers. Like Chris Plant had a similar thing, that like some of the stuff in It Takes Two is like super fucked up and like needs content warnings.
Like I ended up liking that game, but like
you
is
mean,
definitely a
you mean best family game.
did it win that?
It did.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I ended up liking It Takes Two, but it is definitely like a game about like broken, like selfish people, and I don't think it necessarily, like, I don't think it squares its ending necessarily very well.
It seems like it's weird because Brothers is very poignant right down to the
100%,
end. But but it's interesting because Joseph Fares's games, like other than that, like A Way Out also was based, from what I understand, was very much like the ending sucks, and it's kind of like, okay, so I guess what it's about is that these people are pieces of shit. That's what this whole story was about. Cool.
I think It Takes Two tries to do more than that. Like it tries to be more poignant, but I think it misses the mark just because I don't know, like there's not enough time, kind of the format, and like maybe its views on what it's trying to say about relationships is maybe a little more shallow.
Shocking,
but
that
like
the guy who is known for saying "fuck you" to the Oscars or whatever, on stage.
It's hard for me to say because like that game is about a couple who is going through a divorce and then reconciling their relationship, but also being very incredibly selfish through like 2/3 of that game, and then suddenly not being so selfish anymore, which it doesn't really, they don't earn that like turn for the characters, I think. But as someone who's like a child of divorce, it didn't like speak to like my experience with like parents who were going through that, because it's like at all. And that's fine because there are many ways that relationships fall apart, and I don't expect the game to speak to that, to every single situation of divorce, because that's impossible. But yeah, so like parts of it kind of rang a little hollow, but like in terms of like game, like being a game divorced from like the questionable content, it's fun. But I could see how people would take issue with some of the stuff. But I think certain things are like trying to highlight, hey, these are fucking terrible people, and they're like not like doing. They're not functioning at. They're not doing their job.
Yeah, it's weird. I still would like to play it because I'm interested in seeing that stuff at some point, and seeing how it's handled. And you know, if they're calling it Game of the Year, I'm curious how it got there. It's not like Keeley picks those; like it's a panel of judges from across the industry.
That's how 12 Minutes gets on the best indie game. I didn't win.
Guess,
like you know, some people liked it, so it got up there.
Couldn't be me. I'm glad that Guardians won Best Narrative because you know I don't want to keep banging the drum because I already talked about it, but I'm still playing that game. It's fucking fantastic. It's so good, shockingly good.
Damn it! I was hoping it wouldn't be, but
it is. I think you'd like it too.
I'm sure I will. And now I'm on vacation, so now I can play it. But
yeah, it rules. That game is in near the top of my list of favorites this year for sure.
Any announcements that you felt were worth talking about? Other than
Alan Wake 2.
Other than that,
Alan Wake 2. Actually, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal 2.
Is that Jake Gyllenhaal in the thing?
It looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
It looks very much. I
didn't even notice.
But it's interesting that it's a survival horror game now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know. I kind of was like, fuck off when I saw them say that because like Alan Wake is I feel like they said that when that game was coming out too, that it was survival horror. And it has whatever. I love Alan Wake. I don't really like the gameplay in Alan Wake that much.
But
I
like the idea of Alan Wake.
The story is good enough that it pulled me through. It's interesting.
Super good.
So I'm super excited for Alan Wake 2. The Space Marine 2, which is fucking who the fuck thought that would ever happen?
I love the original.
It's my favorite 40K game. I like Space Marine more than Gears of War, but that's just because I'm biased and I like 40K. Hilariously, I find the Space Marines the least interesting part of 40K, but in terms of 40K video games, I think it's the best one. Even Dawn of War is also phenomenal. Don't at me. But I happen to like Space Marine a little more, and I am so excited for Space Marine 2, especially because that hopefully means there'll be a multiplayer mode, because Space Marine had really good multiplayer. And it would be cool if Space Marine 2 did. So
Senua's Saga looks really good.
I didn't see that trailer. I missed some of the stuff. I missed the Star Wars reveal at the top, which I'm really glad about, because if they had showed a Star Wars thing and then said Quantic Dream at the end, I would have been so pissed.
There had been a rumor about Quantic Dream working on a Star Wars game, but
they showed all this Star Wars stuff. And it's like, oh, this looks really good. Like graphical fidelity is there. It's like they're touching on some interesting stuff. And then it's like, oh, the Star Wars Eclipse, cool. And then it's like Quantic Dream, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
After they say we don't, we won't stand for abuse in the games industry.
It was like, I think immediately following, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's my understanding.
It just shows how fucking out of touch the people that play on this show are.
Well, it also goes to show like how like short people's attention spans are, because I mean, there's still stuff at Ubisoft. There's still stuff at still issues at Riot. Still issues across all these companies. Bungie, and then but we can only focus on like one at a time, and so Activision Blizzard, they're on the outs right now, so all the other companies like get a pass. It's like, oh, we're not mad at you right now, but watch it, because we will be like the
Star Wars stuff is whatever. I don't know. I like Heavy Rain. Okay, it's
I also like
stupid
Heavy Rain
game,
enough.
but it's interesting. Like, I don't think the story is
particularly. The droids are the good guys this time.
Roger.
I thought Beyond was pretty bad. I thought Detroit was pretty bad.
I didn't. I tried Beyond. I thought it was terrible, and I didn't even play Detroit.
I got like 3 or 4 hours into Beyond. I was like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah, I got like 2 in, and I was like, this is not what I'm looking for. But I more and more I'm not as interested in that kind of game. I'd rather just watch those. That's sort of a story as a movie.
Well, I'm
not really.
I think games like Man of Medan style stuff, like that's kind of, and
that's fun.
What's the one they did before?
I guess
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn.
Yeah,
I like those games.
I feel like those kind of took it over and for the
yeah.
better.
Maybe it's just because of the horror theme.
They know like what they are, whereas David Cage wants to be more high-minded. I think David Cage more than Kojima wants to be a director.
I think the other thing too about those games is I remember playing Heavy Rain, and I played a game that I want to play it again at some point because I remember enjoying Heavy Rain, and I was like, I hit a point where I was like, oh cool, this must be the ending, like 4 hours in, and it was like barely halfway.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Why are we doing this for? And I remember playing through it like, why is this game still going on? And I liked it, but it also way overstayed its welcome. And that's a problem I think that David Indigo Prophecy has the same issue, where it's like you get to a point that seems like a good time for the game to end, and it's like, what if we did 6 more hours?
Yeah. And then you get the whole David Cage coming out and saying, in my game all women are whores.
Oh, he's a fucking asshole. That guy's a piece of shit. I don't give a shit. But like that part of that angle on it is a totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, like the gameplay itself is just shitty, but like then the whole Quantic Dreams and David Cage factor just makes you know what? Probably won't touch that.
I think my point is more that at least the God, what are they called? The Until Dawn developer. Supermassive understands that, like, no, instead, why don't you make a game that's like 4 hours long and has a couple different ways to play it, so you might want to go back to it again. That's cool. I have much more fun with that. I mean, 5 hours. I think that's their games top out around 5 hours.
Until Dawn is like 12, but yes.
Yeah, but Until Dawn, I don't know, because Until Dawn, I never got bored playing that game. I agree. I was like, this is good the whole way through. They're also more propulsive. Yeah, Quantic Dream games have moments where it's just like you're doing like adventure game shit where you have to find the button to press, and it's
reorganizing your fucking reorganizing your office.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain. Like, why am I dragging the furniture around?
But my one hope of the Star Wars game before we move on is I wonder if having the training wheels on of Disney being like, I mean, I don't know where Disney's at. I know EA completely squandered their exclusivity of Star Wars, and I have to imagine, I mean, Disney Interactive has staffed up more. They have a more robust, I know because I have seen the job postings, they have a much more robust like brand management team with Star Wars now. I have to imagine that they are looking at the games that these developers are putting out with a lot more scrutiny than they were when they just signed it over to EA. So I'm not saying that means that it'll be a good game, but it might be a little less fraught with David Cage bullshit than previous games. Because I could see it. If I were at Disney, I'd be like, no, you're not going to compare the droids in Star Wars to like African Americans in the Civil War. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of sci-fi kind of properties getting a new game, did you think anything about that Dune thing? I mean, they didn't show any gameplay.
Oh yeah,
it's like a
dunk.
Cannot wait. Northgard's amazing.
Yeah, it's like a 4X too, isn't it?
I can't remember, but it's the same team that made Northgard, and I have full confidence that game. Northgard's super cool. I recommend it if you haven't played it. Really good RTS. Doesn't have micro.
It is a strategy game with 4X elements. So it's like an RTS with some 4X-ness to it, which is cool.
That's how Northgard is. It'll probably be pretty similar to Northgard. Cool. But I'm very excited for that. Homeworld 3, very excited for that. That Arc Raiders trailer, I don't know if that game's going to be any good. That trailer fucking rules.
It looks cool.
Yeah. It's a free-to-play Nexon game, so it's hard to say if it's going to be good to play, but the trailer was awesome. When that Robin song hit, I was like, this is so cool. And then the logo at the end is awesome too.
Just like Sonic.
I didn't see it's Sonic.
Hey man, you know what? I hate Sonic, but Breath of the Wild up that motherfucker. Let's go. Let's see.
I saw it's open world. That's and then Knuckles sounds sexy. I guess I haven't watched the Sonic 2 trailer yet.
Yeah. It's Idris.
Idris Elba. What did you say? Idris Elbus.
Idris Elbus. Thanks, Morning
John
Brain.
Travolta over here.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone talking about Slitterhead, which is from which is an uncomfortable name from the creator of Silent Hill,
which is
Keiichiro Toyama. I mean, it looks kind of like what I'd expect from like this caliber of game.
Yeah, the designs and stuff are really interesting, but
like it looks very like much more like, I mean, it looks like it takes place in Japan or like somewhere in Asia, maybe China. Yeah. But it like using like Japanese folklore, like more Asian folklore, like scary beasts and monster kind of stuff. So that could be cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna have a bunch of people just like ghosts that are hopping towards you. But yeah, the designs they had, it looked cool, but just the game part of it looked kind of clunky and potentially bad. But
it's a Wonder Woman game from Monolith.
Who cares?
Doesn't move the needle for me.
There was no like actual game shown. It was all just like a CG like logo reveal. It's from Monolith, the Shadow of Mordor people.
Yep.
So
it's gonna have the Nemesis.
We'll see.
The Nemesis stuff in it.
Whatever. Like, okay, I guess.
Okay.
You know what I will say about that Slitterhead trailer. The music fucking slapped.
Oh yeah, no, it was cool. It's the same dude what did the Silent Hill music too. So
yes, yeah.
Halo is finally getting a series. I guess on Paramount Plus next year, like early. So it's like it's basically ready to go. I guess. This time, not like at the start of the Xbox One where they're like Steven Spielberg is executive producing a Halo show, and then it never happens. So
it looks good. I don't know. Apparently it's totally separate. It's totally separate from the games. It has nothing to do with the like. It'll take elements from the games, but it's its own series, which is probably smart.
Among Us VR, I guess.
That seems like a really good idea. Like the idea of like doing things in VR when you can potentially just be murdered when you like because you can't see it. Like that does sound like terrifying, and like it could be pretty tense in a good way.
Oh yeah, okay, I see. I didn't see the trailer for it, and I didn't understand what it was. But yeah, sure. Job simulator plus getting murdered. That could be fun.
And it's coming from like a studio with VR experience, so that could be neat, I guess. I wonder how that's going to go, like with VR adoption and like where that's at right now.
I loved Victoria Trans being like, "Oh, I didn't realize they were announcing this here. I guess I have to go to all my socials while I'm in the audience at the Game Awards on my phone and post this. I forgot the YouTube password. Oh well, guess it's not getting posted to YouTube for now."
That's why you get a password manager.
Yeah, but it was very funny.
Okay. So, I didn't see this, but apparently Google is just saying, okay, Microsoft, well, like, fuck you, Windows 11, we're going to make Android games on PC ourselves. And so I guess you'll be able to play Android games on PC, either with Windows 11. I guess they announced it.
It showed up there, and then I think more details got revealed yesterday or something. I didn't really follow up because who cares?
Yeah,
could not be me. That
Cuphead DLC.
It's literally called DLC Island.
Hellblade 2 had a trailer again. Like at least this time they showed like an actual game and not just like, and here's us looking at pictures of trees. PUBG went free to play.
Finally, I'm surprised it hadn't.
I thought it was already.
It probably is on phones, but like
Jesus.
Yeah.
But for actual PUBG,
I hadn't seen some of these. I hadn't seen the Hellblade trailer. I'm just clicking through now. This looks out of this world. Jesus.
Yeah, the trailers.
The visuals. It looks
very
incredible.
High production value.
Yeah. It looks like gameplay too.
It's supposed to be. Telltale back from the dead.
Yeah.
I mean, we already knew this.
With two games.
Making two sci-fi games, Star Trek,
the Expanse one,
and the Expanse.
The Star Trek one looks like ass.
But I think Star Trek is a really, really, really good game for that kind of or good universe for that kind of thing where you're making decisions. Like, because like
I can see
a lot of Star Trek is so much about diplomacy and like you know, making hard ethical choices and then like what's right versus what's logical, blah blah blah. Like that's interesting.
I specifically walked away. I'm glad that Star Trek games being ass for like 20 years or however long it's been since fucking Bridge Commander came out and Elite Force, has trained me to not give a shit when they show Star Trek, like when they imply a Star Trek game is coming.
Wasn't the MMO like okay?
Yeah, the MMO's cool. Yeah. The problem with the MMO was just that it got burdened with so much free-to-play garbage once it went free-to-play, and now it's like indecipherable. You log in and there's like 400 windows that pop up and they all mean different things to get you to buy stuff. But
what's the Expanse? I don't know what the Expanse is.
It's
a popular sci-fi novel. Like
James S.A. Corey. It's very good. I read the first half of the first book, but it's very dense and very long. There's like 8 of them. It's also a TV show. It's a sci-fi show, and it is now produced by Amazon. Sci-Fi dropped it, and then Amazon picked it up. The show is apparently phenomenal. I spent a long time trying to read the book before I watched the show, and I think I'm just going to give up and watch the show. A friend of mine said that the show is different enough from the books at points that it branches that it's worth watching, and then if you like it, you can go read the books and see a sort of different spin. But it's a sci-fi show that is really rooted in like realism. So it's like it's set in the solar system. It's not set like it's not intergalactic or interstellar or anything. It's like in the solar system. Has a lot of stuff about labor because people live in the asteroid belt and mine asteroids, and the like space combat in it is from what I have seen, it is much more realistic. So it's like ships that are very far away from each other firing railguns where they think the other ship is going to show up based on its velocity and stuff. They don't show a lot of like, again, I've only watched the first few episodes, but they don't show much from the outside of the ships because it's not very interesting because it's like ships that are like millions of kilometers away from each other firing missiles into empty space basically, where another ship's going to show up. But it's very grounded and based on like real science, I guess. So yeah, it could be cool. I don't know. And that one's being co-developed by Deck 9, so I might actually like it because I don't really like Telltale games that much, but I like what I have seen of like Deck 9 games.
Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Sorry. Separate piece of news to bring up later that showed up in our Discord.
I was gonna bring that up once we finish this. A couple more things. Thirsty Suitors from Falcon Age. That it looks neat. It's got like some style to it. There's pizza in this trailer. I don't know.
Look, I shit all over Guardians before it came out, and now it's one of my favorite games of the year. I'm not making that mistake again. Suicide Squad could be really good. I don't know.
Suicide Squad. Thirsty Suitors. Tunic got a release date finally after years.
Suitors is the it's an Annapurna thing, right?
It's probably. It looks like it.
Yes, it's Falcon Age, the Falcon Age developers.
Oh, Outer Loop?
Which I wasn't.
Yeah, it's from Annapurna.
Outer Loop. Yeah. I wasn't crazy about Falcon Age either. And Thirsty Suitors has rad characters, but that's about as far as I don't really understand what it is. So we'll see.
It's a narrative action adventure game that grapples with themes of complex family dynamics, navigating difficult relationships, and discovering one's true self. Come on, Pat,
that sounds good.
Sounds like brothers.
Yeah.
Then famous Zelda Like a Fox Tunic is coming out March 16th for Xbox and PC.
That is far enough away that I would not be surprised if the game slips again.
Sure. Oh yeah, they showed something about Crossfire again, didn't they? Crossfire X rather.
Yes.
Yeah.
What they've been showing for years.
Making it's been like 2 years at this point. I think
maybe more.
Almost 2 years. Basically, as long as they've been showing Xbox Series XS stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
so
play that
like
thing.
a year and a half.
That thing seems stupid. I'm into it.
Remedy is making that campaign like in collaboration with the main development studio. Which is weird. I guess Remedy just did the single player. We'll see.
Oh, what was that other? What was that Korean game that the DokeV or whatever that had the weird like K-pop dance number?
Yeah,
it was
that thing was
kind of
cool.
It was like kind of creepy in a way.
Yes.
Oh, Iron Galaxy announced a game.
Oh yeah, Rumbleverse.
I signed up for like that beta or whatever access. They gave me a code. I haven't looked at it yet though. But
I saw that Jeff Gerstmann was actually saying that he actually really enjoyed it. The trailer was pretty bad, but
it looks like a wrestling battle royale.
Yeah, yes. I know. I'd be interested in seeing what it's like gameplay wise, because I mean, Iron Galaxy is really good. So
yeah, when they hit, they hit.
And they know fighting games. I mean, they did
I was hoping for Dive Kick 2,
Killer Instinct for years.
Yeah.
So
Dive Kick 2, where is it?
Who did you main in Dive Kick?
Oh, I don't remember. I liked I don't remember.
I liked Mr. N.
I like the Oh god, who
Uncle
did
Sensei?
I play?
Redacted. Seth Killian.
I played whoever. I bounced around a lot. No, I was not Dive or Kick.
Did you like playing as Johnny Gat?
Oh,
no,
right.
I think I stopped playing before Johnny Gat was in the game.
Same. How about Dr. Scholes?
I think I liked Dr. Okay, now I had to look up the Dive Kick roster.
See, I've called you out. I liked Dive Kick.
I think I liked. Okay, let's see.
Jafali.
Did I play Kick or Kenny?
I don't remember who Kenny is.
No. Kenny uses random. I did play Kenny sometimes, but that was Kenny just takes random character stuff.
Yeah,
I liked
Stream Monster.
I think I did play Stream. I liked Kung Pao, and maybe I did like Uncle Sensei.
Yep.
And maybe the Boss, but I think it was mostly Uncle Sensei and Kung Pao.
Fair enough.
Anyways, news. Unsurprising, maybe to people who have been following, but also somewhat surprising because you can't believe they're actually doing it. And maybe they aren't, but rumors abound as Nintendo Enthusiast reports Persona 3 Portable is getting a multi-platform remaster.
Yeah.
According to some leakers.
My heart beats for Allison here. I really hope this isn't a fucking
Speaking of Persona, also Persona 4 Arena Ultimax coming to like PS4 and Switch was announced at the Game Awards, that's cool.
That's cool. Persona 4
Make a new one though.
Persona 3 Portable is also really good, though I liked the original Persona 3. Well, I like Persona 3 Fez. And I fell off Persona 3 Portable just because so much of it had changed, especially gameplay wise. I mean, it was natural. It was on the PSP. It didn't have as much horsepower as the other platforms it was on, like even PS2. But it'd be cool if they basically did Persona 3 Portable with the whole you can choose your protagonist thing, and also like it's more like, Persona 3, 4, 5 style, behind the back, running through dungeons stuff. Because it was like a weird isometric version with the PSP version. So
that's
like it wasn't bad. It was just I personally found it not quite as engaging, which is why I ended up falling off of it. But
this is via a leaker. Yeah, this is via a leaker, so they're always saying shit, and
if it's true,
sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. There's who knows how many like people removed from that situation it is, but Let's see. I thought maybe this happened in the last week. If it did happen in the last week, oh my god, what has this week been? Ocarina of Time has basically been entirely like reverse engineered, and like the source code has been reverse engineered and decompiled.
Yeah.
Like all of it without looking at the actual game code. So technically it's legal. Like,
yeah, no, technically Nintendo cannot do anything about this.
Yeah.
Even though it does use some of the it uses the assets, obviously. Like in order to decompile it, if you go to the GitHub page and do it, you have to provide an original ROM file, because it needs to pull the assets from it and stuff like that. But yeah, once it decompiles, it's completely in C, which the original was not in C as far as I'm aware. And like you can go into the code and you can start changing variables. MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, who's come up a lot on our podcast, he's great, did a video and he showed like, yeah, here's some simple things you can do. Remember how that crappy remake, or not remake, the one that showed up on the
Switch Online?
I forget if it had
I think it was Nintendo Switch Online Pro, new Nintendo Switch Online U, I don't know,
2DS, but Light
XL.
And yeah, so that like how it had like the fog messed up, he's like, here, let's remove the fog. So he'd remove the fog. He's like, yeah, doesn't that look like shit? And look, I'll put the fog back, boom, and kind of thing. And it was other things like, oh, let's move the camera back 1 billion miles from the player, and like let's make the skybox just completely black. And like he's just showing that, yeah, you can do this. And like obviously that's not what people are going to do. People are going to make mods. People are going to make full total conversions using this as an engine, and that's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, that is a neat thing to see. Look forward to seeing what kind of weird stuff people do.
It's a huge effort. Like that's not easy to do. So good on them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's neat, and I wonder if we're gonna see some like weird Nintendo lawyer shit from it. But yeah,
they'll
technically
try.
because people didn't directly, like, you know, they didn't take the code from the game, they did it themselves, rebuilt it. So and it seemed like it had been like mostly done for a while, and it was like they were trying to like just kind of nail down the last like few lines until recently. So
it's always the last 10% that's the hardest.
Yeah, like what the fuck is this variable? Solvent for X.
Do I turn this on and then everything breaks?
X is equal to negative a plus or minus the square root b squared over. That's not how it goes. I don't know.
Don't know what you're referencing.
Isn't that the quadratic formula?
There's a song.
There's like a song. Yeah. It's like Pop Goes the Weasel. Yeah. Anyway, Ubisoft always on the forefront of new technology.
Oh yeah.
Is adding. They did this weirdly fast. Recently in their investor call and earnings calls, they were talking about, we're like looking into integrating NFTs into our games.
Yep.
And here we are a couple weeks later, maybe like a month later. I don't even know.
You can measure it in weeks.
Yeah, they have announced NFTs for first game is Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
That's
Wildlands is Cocaine Cowboys.
Is dead. That's old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Breakpoint.
Cocaine Cowboys.
And it's just like they're just like cosmetics, and they're like fine.
But Andre, the cosmetics have like engraved like serial numbers on them. Because you can only do that with NFTs. It's not like you could do that with normal serial numbers.
There's no good reason for any of this. Like there's just no good reason.
It's profoundly stupid.
That shit is gonna be so small, no one's gonna see it anyway.
Nope. And like
no one's gonna see that serial number.
I think all of us can agree that NFTs as they exist in this current moment are like the stupidest thing ever. And I think as a technology, they could be interesting. It's just every implementation of it right now is just profoundly flawed in a lot of ways. and this continues that trend.
I don't know. It's stupid.
They're not adding anything of value to the game.
Also, that game fucking sucks. Why would you want stuff in it? Like I played a fair amount of it. I shouldn't say it fucking sucks. It's fun for like 5 or 6 hours, but it is not good enough to warrant putting, like, if like Bungie did this with Destiny, I'd be like, God damn, that's stupid and I hate it and I'm not going to do this. But like, clearly I'm sure that there's a large audience for that in that game. But this is just leaning into this is leaning into the fact. Well, this is leaning into the fact that like so much of the NFT market is like bros trying to sell each other their garbage. Like, right. It's not like it doesn't totally, there's no
it's totally what I mean by the current implementation is just garbage. Like this whole NFT art thing, this whole trying to implement it in games, the whole like, oh, get your Matrix avatar as an NFT, like all this kind of stuff is so stupid. Like I can see cases for it being awesome. Like I can see the music industry using NFTs in a really interesting way. Like not in a non-exploitative way. I mean, like, you know, for artists to be able to track, like we have released this album as an NFT, not like thousands of them, and it's like, oh, okay, now we can properly track.
Oh, like when Wu-Tang sold that single album.
No, that's what I'm saying is not thousands of NFTs, but I'm saying like one where it's able to easily verify, like, okay, yeah, this version of the album, this deluxe version of the album, like, because as someone who works in this industry, it's really hard to track which version of an album someone is playing. Like if there's a re-release that has literally the exact same track counts and track names and everything, it's like, okay, which one are they listening to? You know,
it just seems like you could do that with a unique identifier for that. It doesn't need to be an NFT. It doesn't need to be on the blockchain.
The technology for it would greatly facilitate it, because like you can only do so much with metadata, which is what we currently use. But if you can have like a tracked contract, essentially, which is, you know, something that is immutable and can't just be randomly changed or bypassed, then that would actually be very useful.
I can 100% guarantee you that the handful of ways in which it could be used in a positive matter will never happen.
No, I think you're probably right. It's just the current implementation of NFT stuff is the worst. Yeah. But it could be used for good stuff. It could be used for medical records. It could be used for like any number of good things. It's just capitalism is going to keep us from doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah.
I'm fucking like Kickstarter is like integrating blockchain shit, and like for what purpose? For what fucking, so you know that I didn't get my fucking cooler that I ordered? Yeah, this is the thing. I didn't order one of the fucking coolers, but
this is the
as
thing
an example.
What were the coolers?
That was like one of the famous flops, like the coolest cooler. It was like it had a bunch of bullshit, and then like 80% of the people who bought one didn't get one.
None of this shit was ever really broken.
No.
Like that's the thing.
You're using a screwdriver to hammer in a nail, you know?
And like to your point, Alex, I certainly, you know way more about that than I do and how the tech works behind it. But if we didn't have streaming services that exploited the fuck out of artists in the first place and everybody just bought their music on Bandcamp, like it might still be useful, but it wouldn't be as important to compensation. And I say that as somebody who has a subscription to a streaming service, so I'm not trying to like sit on some kind of high horse here, but like we've created all of these problems that we're now attempting to solve with like the blockchain, when it's like, I mean, just stop making the problems in the first place. Just like it doesn't,
which is exactly what I was trying to say here with Ubisoft saying like you can do this with a serial number. You don't need to use NFTs and blockchain and stuff for this. Like it's just pointless.
Ubisoft controls people's Ubisoft's account. You can just put a unique item that says, you know, 1 out of 1,000 on someone's account. Yep. Like it doesn't need to be an NFT.
Nope. It's it's pointless, frankly.
Yep.
But it's okay because sorry Pat.
what I wonder about is how much these companies are really thinking about the ramifications of minting these things as NFTs, because I don't have a complete understanding of, I have a pretty complete understanding of around the process of how they work from a exploitation perspective. But my understanding is they're going in your whatever wallet service you use. That's where like a lot of your, I guess, receipts are stored for owning these NFTs. If it's an object that you can use in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint's servers shut down in 10 years, like,
yeah. Well,
what
so
the fuck does that mean?
That's the thing that people are always trying to sell with, like, oh, this is why you want NFT games. You know, what if you could take your NFT into another game? You could take your sword from fucking World of Warcraft into Final Fantasy 14.
No dev is ever going to want to implement that.
Exactly.
No,
but
never.
So, I mean, you know, Ubisoft makes a lot of fucking games. They make a lot of Tom Clancy games, and
they make a lot of shovelware.
Like, yeah. But so like Breakpoint is a Tom Clancy, right? Is it even Tom Clancy on the Ghost Recon games? I don't even know.
Yes.
So say whatever, like, oh, you can take it from Breakpoint into, I guess, take it into like Quarantine or whatever, or you can put it into, you can take it into Siege, I guess. Like, are they going to do that and like recreate all these items in those other games? Because they have to.
It requires them to do that. They shouldn't, and it requires them to do that to fulfill the promise of it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that people who buy into that promise are going to fucking flip when they don't do it, because they won't,
or they don't want to play the game.
When they're like, your NFT support is bullshit. All I can do is take this gun from Breakpoint and put it into Siege. The whole point was supposed to be that I could take it with me into Riders Republic and shoot people, because people are gullible enough to think that that's how it's going to work, because that's how they're selling it.
So let's give this more thought than these executives have. Let's say these NFT guns that you can bring into any game are awesome, and it's the best concept ever. And like, yeah, we agree with you, Ubisoft execs. I don't, but let's say for the sake of argument, we do. And let's look at this for, okay, the first round of games. Yeah, we can take this series of guns, and there's like 1,000 of them, and let's say like there's like 10 different models, each with 1,000 unique items. Okay, so that's 10 guns times 1,000, so that's what, 10,000. And we have to make sure that that can be pulled into all these different games. Okay, fine. Now that's fine for this year. What about in 20 years? Now, if we do 1,000 series of them, and, you know, like we're getting up to like 1 million potential weapons, how much space does each of how much space does each of those take? If it's a megabyte, suddenly every game has at least an extra, you know, gigabyte of asset data that it needs just to, you know, satisfy these NFT bros, and that's going to continually balloon because they're going to continue to make them. They're going to continue to need to be in every product ever. It's like,
and that's the thing.
You're not thinking about how this will go. It's so stupid.
When like you can pull the line that like, well, but proof of stake, it's not gonna be as environmentally impactful, which fine, whatever. There's more to the impact that these things have than just the method by which they are like accessed and minted and mined and stuff like that. Yes, I have a problem with, because I don't care if it's that the electricity required the energy required to make NFTs happen it's a city now instead of a country worth by it moving to a different kind of blockchain.
Yeah, even if we said, okay, this is 100% running on wind energy, okay, it's still a stupid concept.
Who cares? It's stupid. Yeah. It's still a waste of energy.
Yes.
Like,
it's still profoundly dumb. I agree.
Yes. And to do it at this kind of scale is the issue. I don't care if people do dumb shit in their like if you want to like print 100 dumb posters to hang up in your basement, I don't fucking care. Go for it. But if you want to say, no, I want to use the resource equivalent of an entire city to print 10 million dumb posters to send to a bunch of people, like, no, that's not, as a society, we should be able to say to each other, no, you're wasting our resources. This is not your thing to waste. It's all of ours, and you're doing it. And like, I'm really glad Ubisoft got the shit kicked out of them for this, because
I'm okay. I don't mean to turn this into a generational warfare thing, but do we know which generation?
I think it's an interesting subject.
Do we know if is it millennials pushing for this? Is it Gen X? Is it boomers? Like, I don't know.
I think it's largely millennials. I don't think it's necessarily generational in nature.
I think it's people who want to scam, and it's people, it's the same people who are always doing the bullshit like this, because it's a scam. Like,
it's also people that aren't
someone's
very
going
well,
to be left holding the bag, and
it's people who aren't very well educated in economics and in which is bullshit anyway, but whatever.
Or they are well educated and they're fucking idiot anyway.
Or they are well educated and they're scamming people.
Yes,
but like, I saw a TikTok of someone explaining Dogecoin and why you should buy Dogecoin, which is slightly different because it's crypto, but it's, same cloth. And he was like, see, the thing is, it's really a community thing, because I buy Dogecoin and then I'm excited about Dogecoin and I want the value of Dogecoin to go up. So I say to you, you should buy some Dogecoin too. And then you tell your friends that everybody should be buying Dogecoin. We get everybody to buy Dogecoin. We all get to watch it go up together. And it's so exciting. And it's so much fun because everybody's excited about Dogecoin and we're building a community around improving the value. And then we all make money off of it. And it's like, bro, you are describing a Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
That is like illegal. And like, the fact that crypto hasn't been regulated yet, it's just a ticking time bomb, because all this shit is just literal pyramid and Ponzi schemes. But a lot of these people who are into it don't understand that it's bad. They have no concept of it being bad because they never took an economics class. And they never had things like...
Well, they see people making the money and they don't realize that they're the suckers.
They didn't live through Enron. They don't know that this kind of stuff has massive implications for entire financial systems. Yep. and could land them, at best broke, at worst in prison. Like, that's really what it comes down to, I think, is that it's a lot of people who... It's a few truly gifted scam artists convincing a large number of poorly educated people, poorly financially educated people, to get invested in this thing sight unseen.
Well,
so I don't know.
Before moving on, I will call attention to the other thing that we have in the doc about this Ubisoft thing, but at least, hey, their YouTube video has 100% likes on it. So, everybody likes these NFTs.
Like, how many? I wonder how. Well, it's delisted now, isn't it?
It was made private. Yeah,
made private. Yeah, so like, it's still, you can, like, if you have the link, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
But
what I will say is, I have a hope and a theory, and I don't have hope for a lot of stuff, so it should say something that I have hope for this. Is as NFTs are like picked up by these huge companies like Warner Brothers and shit, and they're sold to people more in the mainstream. I think if my dad gets an NFT, he's going to start off going like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then he's going to find out what it really is. And he's going to go, this is stupid. Yep. And I think that most mainstream people, because the only way that bros seem to be able to sell this is by being like, no, it's cool because it's that sense of ownership, man, which most people don't give a fuck about. So I think it's gonna hit a brick wall when it really starts to seem like it's taking off, because the mainstream is gonna be like, this is really stupid. Why are we doing this? And then the value is just gonna plummet because there's not gonna be any futures for it. And people are going to start trying to get out like wildfire, and it's going to be just a total mess. And my hope is that there's not enough money in it where we see massive repercussions for the economy at large because of it. But I think crypto is probably here to stay. But NFTs, I think, will eventually fall back to being niche again in the next few years.
El Salvador would hope that you're correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think pending regulation, I do think that there's the potential for government regulation to
yeah, I mean, it's
almost
stuff has started in that direction, but we'll see.
It's going to depend a lot on in the United States anyway. It's going to depend a lot on what happens during the next election cycle, because I don't think that the current administration gives the tiniest bit of fuck about crypto. and I don't think they'll pay attention to it. So
I don't know what they give a fuck about, to be honest.
I loaded up the unlisted video for Ubisoft Quartz, which I don't think we ever actually called it that. And I used the AP...
worthless crystal. It's a great thing to call your NFT.
Yeah, one of the least, the most populous in the world, and it's just, anyways, whatever. And I used the still existing YouTube API that allows you to see likes and dislikes because they haven't disabled that yet. It currently has 1,000 likes and 42,000 dislikes.
I will say too, keep in mind, like, with a lot of this stuff, like, there are Matrix NFTs, like you mentioned. It doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. Like, I say as someone in marketing, I would try. I mean, vote with your wallet, do what your heart tells you. I wouldn't say, oh, Matrix has NFTs, fuck that movie, I'm never going to watch it. Like, the studios are not really the same people that are making the movies and games and stuff. So, like, I think it's
unfortunate. I think it's real fucking clown shit.
I feel it's very likely that Lana Wachowski was like, you're not making NFTs, and the studio was just like, yeah, we are.
Well, I mean, even in that interview, there's a very good interview people should look up with Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves. They had no fucking idea that they made NFTs for the Matrix.
And Keanu laughed at it. He's like, fucking stupid.
I laughed in the interviewer was like so like into crypto and like wanted to be like, oh, Keanu's into are you into crypto? Do you have it? And Keanu just fucking laughing in his face like, oh man, NFTs are fucking stupid.
The way he says, yeah, I've got my hodl, I was like, oh my god, that's so funny.
It was very cringy.
Oh god.
It's I should say the interview is not very good because the interviewer is
it's good because just like
he's
Keanu
fine,
like really seems like he actually thinks about the shit and like is related to the Matrix, which is really cool to see because I feel like that's not something you get to hear like actors or like in these kinds of movies talk about too often, but because the Matrix being
it's really interesting
it is and relevant as it is right now.
Interesting contrast between Keanu, who clearly has like maybe is not like excited completely about the future being virtual or whatever, but is like interested to see it, and Carrie-Anne, who's much more like, no, I would rather things just stay real and physical. There's an interesting interplay between them in the interview. It's very much worth watching.
Keanu is just excited about the future pornography.
Yeah, he was into it.
I love that they opened that clip with him asking, "Can you use Unreal to make porn?"
I'll make sure to link that interview in the show notes. People should watch it.
People should. Right. It's good. It's worth it.
Andre, what other existential nightmares do we have on the deck?
It keeps going on. I'm sorry, Pat. Bummers. It's Blizzard once again. So last week we talked about them laying off.
We need to do a separate podcast about Blizzard.
Yeah, it's true.
Start doing the Blizzard hour.
Yeah. Last week we talked about how Raven Software, the QA team, had numerous people laid off
unceremoniously,
and very suddenly. And this week that led to walkouts across Activision Blizzard, and then has led to like a full-on strike at this point, initiated by the Activision Blizzard Workers Alliance. Oh, King. So
they're there.
They've started a strike fund to trying to raise $1 million to help cover lost wages and stuff in this time. They seems like they're at least Blizzard is very terrified that they're going to start unionizing and has been sending out you should think about the consequences of unionizing and how that'll get in the way of you talking to management. It's like they've tried talking to management. That shit didn't work.
Are you ready to give up your freedom?
We'll see how that goes.
They're union busting.
Yeah, people were outside the Game Awards handing out like rehire Raven pins and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I think Rami tweeted it out, and it was like a pin that had a raven on it and said rehire them all.
It's good.
And they are just Activision just continuing to step in it, and like it is.
They're making every wrong move.
Yeah, but it costs them more money to do the right thing, so they don't fucking care. Because nobody's going to give a shit about this. They can continue to be. I mean, like, unless the government steps in,
which they have.
I mean, they might care about it if they actually cause their employees to unionize.
Well, yes, I hope that.
Yeah, I hope it. Yeah, I hope it does too.
Of course,
it'd be really fucking funny if Bobby Kotick not leaving through his own hubris makes the Activision unionize under.
I sincerely hope that happens and that it leads to improvements. Because
if he just left, like, and you know, they would probably still be laying off these fucking QA people, but like. They're shooting themselves in the foot, and then the other foot, and then they go back to the other foot, and it's
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously I am on the side of the workers, and I think they fucking suck. But I just don't see a route, even with a push for unionization. Like, union busting laws are so easy to circumvent for large corporations with lots of money. I just don't know. I don't have a lot of hope for the situation to truly improve. Like, I even if they end up getting a union running, I don't know that I see the union having the same kind of success that you would like to see anyway. I don't know.
It'll be kind of a first for the game industry. Has there been a strike like this in the games industry before?
There must have been.
I don't know about on this scale, with this frequency. But
they've done a lot of walkouts in the past like 6 months, but this has been like multiple days.
I know. There was definitely voice actors that striked. There was
voice actor strike.
But I'm trying to think of like actual developers, like programmers, and artists and sound designers and all that.
Writers for Lovestruck. This is from UNIGlobalUnion.org. Writers for Lovestruck, a mobile game produced by Voltage Entertainment USA, have won an average 78% pay increase. Okay, they wrote this average 78 per space cent pay increase. So I was like, wait, they get their
that's a weird
pay. That's a typo. Good job, union. 21-day strike. First successful game worker strike in the history of the game industry.
What year was this?
21 people. This came out in last year, 2020, August 11th is the story.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, good for them. I hope that happens. I worry about the ability for Activision Blizzard to just say, okay, you're striking, goodbye, and then hire a bunch of scabs, because there's so many people that want to work in the industry and don't really have a.
I feel like that would have such like a debilitating impact, depending on how many people actually
it depends,
shit, I can't lose my job, or whatever it is. But if they just suddenly replace all of their developers with college grads, or whatever, entry level people, or
they were already doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you don't have if you don't have any senior people there, then it's gonna
it depends on how that would work.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we've talked about exactly this probably 2 years ago, where the trend in the industry is hire the really enthusiastic people straight out of college who will they'll put up with anything because they want to desperately be in the industry, and then burn them out. And then they get exhausted and they leave the gaming industry. But there's always going to be a fresh supply of passionate people who are going to do anything to get in the industry. It's just a cycle.
And it depends on how senior leadership is incorporated in and engages with a union. Because in a lot of cases in various industries, typically you don't see senior leadership in team leadership as part of the union in order to provide workers with the bargaining power. rather than people that are close to leadership. So I mean, who knows? It does. I don't know what it would look like. And I want them to be clear. I want them to I hope that they are able to unionize and that they're able to win better contracts. My cynicism is not because I don't want to like support them. It's just has more to do with the problems are so structural at that company that I think breaking them up would be what I would like to see happen into multiple companies that are all managed independently and have their own unions, each of them having their own unions. I just think studios.
What the fuck would that leave Activision with? Like Raven, Sledgehammer?
Oh, there wouldn't be Activision. Yeah. What I'm saying is there wouldn't be an Activision anymore. There would be a Raven and a Sledgehammer and a Treyarch.
Oh,
split up the IP,
I see.
and you know, I'm talking about breaking up Activision as a Blizzard would be its own thing again. Okay. Like that, I mean, just like what I would like to see happen with Facebook and Google and all these companies is like the general breakup of them, and to turn their subsidiaries back into the smaller, more managed companies that then also have unions, because I think everyone has a right to access a union, and be represented by a union. So that I think that's like the ultimate end game to me, but you can't get there without government intervention, and I don't fucking think that generally without federal government involvement, I don't fucking think they care about Activision. They pretended to care about Facebook, and that seems to have gone away. So, you know, and fuck Kellogg's too. Yeah, that's the other. There's a good graphic. Maybe we should put it in the show notes. I'll find it. Good graphic of all the brands under Kellogg's, because there's some you might not expect. So
just like everything in the fucking US, it's all just fucking consolidated bullshit.
Should you like to participate or to avoid crossing the picket line, which I would encourage you to avoid doing, it was helpful to me. Stuff like I didn't realize Morningstar Farms, which is a protein substitute for, they make vegetarian like burgers and nuggets and stuff. They are a Kellogg's brand, so it was helpful to me because like, don't buy Morningstar Farms right now, kind of thing.
Quick heads up: if you're playing Halo Infinite on an Xbox Series console, don't put it in quick resume.
Yeah, according to the devs,
it'll mess shit up. And like, here we are, a year out from the launch. This game was delayed a year. This is a first-party game
from Microsoft,
and having like these issues, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
I know things are like complicated, but like what the fuck?
Yeah, well, I can understand why it's an issue, but so isn't quick resume kind of an on the back of the box style thing? Like it's like this is a core
that was
feature
one of the
our
major selling
product.
points. Yeah, like you can get like 10 games on there, and it's like all running, and then you just like pop in. But
I understand why it has this issue. It's because I assume a lot of it lives on RAM, and when you turn
it's like online connection. I think is the thing.
There's probably a bit of both. It's probably writing state to a database somewhere, but like RAM clears when you turn a machine off. And I guess their promise is they don't clear the RAM or something. I don't know, but that's
sensibly, that would be the case with any game.
I mean, I've seen people say they have turned off their console, gone in an airplane, like packed their console in their like suitcase, gone on an airplane, got off, turned on their console, and it was still like quick resume still worked. Like they were able to boot right back into their game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that stuff works, but
writing the swap or something. I don't know. Programmers, get at me. We'll see if we can speculate what this is.
But it should work with their.
It should work on first-party games. Yeah, like
if it's going to work on anything, it should work on Halo. You know?
Yeah. Like, what did you do in this last year? Not make quick resume work? Like, come on. It's just weird.
Seems like Halo Infinite's really good, though.
Seems like people like it. Yeah, I've seen some other people be like, but I haven't touched it myself yet. I don't have the hard drive space for it right now.
I haven't. I want to play it eventually, but It's doing the thing. It's got the main bad guy is from Halo Wars 2, so you know what that means.
Oh God!
Your boy's
no.
gotta play Halo Wars
1 and then 2,
and
right?
2, and
Yeah.
I may as well, while I'm at it, play all the other games because it's been a while. I finished 1 a couple weeks ago.
Cartographer.
I'm not in a rush to play Infinite. It'll be there. It's like, it sounds great. I'll play it eventually.
Was weird.
The other thing, bear with me. The other thing, these are not very long games.
No.
You can play a Halo game in a weekend. So
yeah,
like, not like me committing to playing like Kingdom Hearts games are much longer than Halo games.
Yeah, and I assume you're not doing
so Dark Souls.
You're not doing them in Legendary.
No, I'm
right?
playing them on easy.
Oh, okay.
Just to get a run, just to remember, and it's because I want to remember the there's some nostalgia there for Halo 2. I love that game. That game is probably one of my favorites. So it's fun to go back through the levels, even though I remember the story.
As the kids say, ooh.
Indeed.
Please adopt me. And Masayuki Uemura, creator of the NES and SNES, has passed away. But when we say creator of the Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo Entertainment System, what do we mean? Are we talking like Ken Kutaragi, father of the PlayStation status here?
To my understanding.
Okay.
He was he was like the principal engineer, as far as I'm aware. Like he designed a lot of the chips. He does the architecture, I should say, rather, and yeah, like he was pretty major in terms of architecting those early systems, and I think he also did a lot of work with arcades before that. So, like he's pretty instrumental to what we know as video games today, especially if you consider the fact that, like, of course there was Atari 2600 and stuff that came before, but like cart-based systems were not the norm for a very long time. So
yeah, and 78.
Yeah, not the oldest. So
no,
but yeah, massive contribution to the industry as a whole. So
yeah, that's Uemura was in charge of developing the NES and its successor, the SNES. The console is known in Japan, Famicom. Not really. Cause of death not released, but yeah, okay.
But yeah, I do believe he was also the architect, or if not lead architect, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But yeah, he was in charge of developing. So
yeah,
that's
it's a loss.
It's weird.
It's a big loss.
Weird to think of games as being like old people made these.
Well,
yeah,
people made them when they were young.
Yeah,
like yeah.
The games started in the 60s, so
yeah, 100%. It's just growing up, you don't really think about that kind of stuff, and then like by the time you start paying attention to it, a lot of these folks have aged out, or they're not as in front of the camera even if they are in the industry still, unless you've got someone like Miyamoto. Not Miyamoto, Miyamoto, for example, or why can I not think of his name?
What does he do?
The other Nintendo guy who died.
Yeah, sorry, you're thinking of why can't I remember his name now? Iwata.
Okay, God.
Yeah, I fell into your trap.
Yeah. Like it's rare that you get someone like that who is like forward facing. Like you get kind of like the executive, like older, middle-aged type, but you don't really get, the instrumental people in the development of the industry out there that often. So like what was that extra coin, what Extra Life? What was that documentary with Charles Martinet? It's late. It's like 2 a.m. for me. I can't remember anything, but like it was cool seeing those stories because there were a lot of like
high score
people. Yeah, was it called High Score? A lot of people who you don't see get to share their stories, like older folks who worked on these things, like producers who were, out of the biz or whatever. Hearing those stories really cool. So yeah, it's a loss. But he was teaching like something about games at a university, in Ritsumeikan University, which is pretty famous in Japan. But yeah, it's a loss. And with that, we are going to wrap up.
Really cheery news week.
Yeah. Hey,
maybe we should have ended with Ocarina of Time.
You know, it's gonna.
I don't think
it'll lighten up.
I don't think the Activision Blizzard stuff is going to get worse necessarily, but it's not going to get better for a while.
I am going to be very curious to see how it develops.
Yeah. I think it will get marginally better, even if I'm skeptical of the long term. I definitely think that, and I think it'll get better specifically because workers there are so passionate about what they're doing, which is amazing. So that's that I think their efforts will produce improvements of some kind. But I don't think we're going to be celebrating for months, probably.
Maybe that's true.
Maybe.
But in the meantime, that is going to wrap up episode 202 of the Gaming Fix podcast on December 11th, 2021. We're almost out of
it is December
out of the
11th.
Year. Yeah.
The hell.
Yep.
Well, it's December 12th for me. Like, ooh. 12/12/21, baby. And that means it's almost 2022. Jesus Christ. And it's almost time for me to forget what year it is and say the wrong
We
shit.
do this every year. It's always like, oh, I can't believe it's 2022. Oh my God. It's like, whatever.
But also it's
it's been a weird 2 years.
Yeah, it has been weird because like what is the passage of time means nothing when you're at home all day every day.
The new normal, baby.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that bullshit. I never want to hear that shit.
It is.
Yeah, and it is depressing.
What is a Tuesday versus what is a Thursday?
Well, the Tuesday is the day that Giant Bombcast comes out. A Thursday is the day that the Super GG Radio. The Super GG Radio records on a Thursday. Yeah. Thursday. What comes out on a Thursday?
Nextlander.
Nextlander and
I just
Friends of the Table. I
find myself not listening to podcasts anymore.
That's
just a more civilized is like the only one I listen to, and that's like every 2 weeks. So it's
Friends at the Table, very good. Like
the Super GG Radio, very good. They're all very good. It's it's in no way, shape, or form am I casting any kind of shade. I just I'm not in situations to listen to podcasts that much.
Right. You can find some articles written by us on Super GG Radio, I think, right now. Oh, yeah. Pat and I, at least. Andre, I think yours is coming.
I've not written it yet.
So yours is coming eventually.
Maybe. We'll see. Like I was hit by severe writer's block when I went to write. I was like, oh, what the fuck am I going to write about?
It was. I had a lot of fun writing my list because I hadn't written anything about games in months, and I was like, oh yeah, I do like doing this.
I didn't even write about games.
Yeah.
I banged it out in about 40 minutes, and it felt good.
Nice. I think I know what I'm gonna do, but I just got to do it now.
Is it all about Resident Evil?
Yeah. No, it'll probably make the list. But
it would be Resident Evil would make my list if I was doing a top 10.
I'm not doing
top 5 racing games. So.
I'm doing I don't know if I'll do top 10, but I'll probably do like top 5 something.
I'm still planning on doing a top 10 for our site when around the time we do our recording.
I don't know if I have a top 10 in me this year.
I don't know if I have 10 games to be honest, but
yeah.
I would do a top 5.
I haven't played all that many games that released this year, frankly.
Me neither.
Yeah,
but that's why I would include other games that I played this year.
I would play 10 games this year at all. I have, but
I was gonna make
I
was gonna make my standard chess joke. But did you guys hear all about the world champion chess tournament that was happening this past
a little
weeks?
Bit?
And it was bonkers.
I'm sure it was.
It was. If you follow chess, like it was actually pretty nuts. So. but we don't have to talk about it that much.
They like took their clothes off and jumped around on the table.
Yeah, and then they started pooping in the hallways and throwing it at each other. Oh wait, that's Pokemon. It basically, in short, there was some huge upsets, and like it was a decisive victory when usually these tournaments end in like draws all the time, because they've reached a level where it's just like, you can
determine.
Amazing.
Now they need to get into like meta chess where people have their chessboards are chess players, and because they're so good at it, they know which chess players are going to win because they can see their entire games before they happen. And then if they win, then they get to move them as a piece on the board.
Wow. Or
the real challenge is actually the audience coming up with their bracket and coming up with the perfect bracket, and that's the real winner.
Yep. Yeah. Or it's got to be like that scene in No Game No Life, which is an anime, where they play chess, but the chess pieces are living beings, and so when they're being sent into battle, they're like really nervous and scared, and then the people feel bad. And then they basically get their chess pieces to unionize and all just rush the queen together. It's really stupid. It's really great.
Isn't that exactly verbatim what happens in Alice in Wonderland in one of the books?
It probably does. I think so.
I think that's like it's an homage, does take, literally. To that
scene. I think it takes a lot of inspiration from stuff like that. But
because I want to say that that the pieces even organized to go and kill the queen in the Through the Looking whatever book. It's not Alice in Wonderland. It's one of the books in that series.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway,
but anyways, chess game of the year.
A beautiful game. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Fix Podcasts, or go over to podchaser.com/gamingfix to leave us a review. That'd be nice. Or like wherever you get your podcast from, if you can review on that platform. Apple Podcasts, I guess. I don't know.
You get it from a
thing
zine,
people do.
Or
put it on your Zune.
Oh man, I had a Zune.
I almost got a Zune, but then I got an iPod Touch instead.
Nice.
You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. That's Andre Cole, aka the Wet Gamer, aka your partner's favorite Keanu Reeves movie not movie. You can find me on Twitch, not on Saturday this week. I'll be on Sunday because I'm on vacation now, so I'm changing my streaming days. I don't know what other days they're going to be. But weekends for the girlfriend now, and Monday, my Monday is your Sunday, unless you're in Japan. Well, then who fucking knows? Twitch.tv/coleslaw, COLESL4W. Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PJCPlays.
And Alex?
Relaying information from the chat, where one Chris Edgerton has provided you with a free idea. The top 10 things you could play on Game Pass right now.
I don't know, because I haven't played enough Game Pass.
I haven't played. I don't know. I have to look through
top
Game Pass.
Top 10 Game Pass games I wish I had played. Final Fantasy VIII when it was on Game Pass, but they removed it.
13-2.
I haven't played 13-2 yet. Maybe I should play 13-2.
I haven't played it either, but I've watched someone play it, and it's fucking cool.
I've played 13. Wait. No, it's 13-3, isn't it? Lightning Returns is 13-3, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't fucking know, man. They're all good. The 13 series is all good.
I have not played Lightning Returns. I played 13-2.
And then you can find out what happened before A Realm Reborn.
Did we, Alex, where can people find you? Did we do this?
Yeah, it was me relaying information from the chat.
Okay. Thank you to Jeff Davis for our theme music. And at Stranger Peace, wherever social media can be found, I guess. That makes sense.
There's a recently added game to Xbox Game Pass called Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator.
Yes, I mentioned this. Oh, Alex, you'd get a kick out of this. I mentioned it when it was just Pat and I, but I saw I think it's I can't say their name, but the one of the developers was saying they encountered a bug, or someone reported a bug, and they spent how many hours? They had to like simulate like billions of hours of playtime to recreate this bug. which sounded very fascinating. I wonder if I can find it. It sounded really like they were simulating like basically beyond the heat death of the universe in playtime to try and find this bug.
Love it.
Yeah, good shit. We'll be back with more weird topics of conversation next week. Stay wet, gamers.
Goodbye.
Plague Tale Innocence sucked. I'm looking at Xbox games, the Game Pass games.
Okay,
I stopped my recording.
The ending was not great.